Hello. Hey.
There we go. How's it going, man?
Yes. Hey, Lionel. I'm good. How are you?
Great. Welcome to my garage studio.
Oh,
I
wow. So that's in a
don't
garage?
have much. You can't really see it all, but this is, it's just this board mainly. But yeah.
Whoa. Dude, is the board just for like mixing a bunch of different instruments?
I record everything through that board. Like it's just like a amp that everything can hit first before it hits digital or cassette. And it just has gain. You could just gain it out really with some analog gain, and it has parametric EQ and graphic EQ also. So it's just it's just a good. It's like having all your outboard gear in just one little cheap mixer. They're very affordable too. You can find these Carvin MX mixers for like $200 to $300 on OfferUp or eBay and stuff. So they're very
Is
affordable. So yeah.
and you have to like record live, like like you're playing live with the it's not like individual tracks, it's for like a band together, or you do both?
Well, for me, I record everything individually, separately, and
Oh,
everything's
okay.
everything kind of hits that first.
Oh, okay.
And But lately, I've been actually recording on this reel to reel, and then the mixer is before it and after it. So it's like
Wow.
using it before to mix it, and then after the reel to reel, it hits it again, and then I can double EQ it and double gain it out stuff.
Ooh,
Is how old studios used to be. And
right.
this is a very simple setup, but it works. I've just started doing fully analog reel to reel recordings, but I've been using the Porta Studio, my cassette machine, doing it that way, and it's real fun. And you don't need much. It's very, it's you don't need that much stuff to make a pretty awesome sound. This board also has an amazing spring reverb tank.
Ooh.
That's like a gorgeous long, rich spring with tons of high end, and you can get that like sizzling sound out of it. And I use that for my vocals and for like the oaks of the drums, usually some spring on it and the bass and a lot of things. But yeah, it's just a cool little tool. But yeah.
Nice. And before we like change topics or introduce you or whatever, I just wanted to ask, do you notice a difference with vinyl when you do it like ironically like with when you do use vinyl with the reel to reel? Is that like what is it? What are the benefits of the reel to reel?
You don't need it. I don't think there are many rational benefits. I mean, you can. It's really hard to get tape saturation with a plugin that has those actual fractal forms of the waveforms that you get from real preamps. And you don't even need a tape machine for that. You can just have some like an old mixer and get those kind of distorted, granular kind of waveforms. But it's not necessary. I think if you're recording, I've mastered a lot on a reel to reel, just a stereo bounce on the reel to reel. Really, it messes up the low end, so it's kind of hard to get it right. You can always EQ things to a tape machine, and if it's distorting, you can kind of make it not distort, and those are the frequencies that generally shouldn't be there anyway. So it is kind of a good reading on what needs to be changed in your mix. Is if you send it to a reel to reel really pretty hot and it's distorting it, and just take out those frequencies and then you're good. And then you don't even need the
Oh,
reel to reel. But
wow.
it's just a good meter. And But I've been trying to record completely analog recordings all on a reel to reel just to see what it sounds like, to see like, oh, does that really change the sound? And yeah, it's really technical, but it's not. I don't think it's critical. I don't think it's necessary. You can just do it with analog preamps instead of using an actual tape. And if you really want to get a real tape sound, use cassette because it's way more obvious.
Wow.
It's you immediately get a tapey sound, but with reel to reel, it can be really transparent. Like this is a Tascam late '70s reel to reel. There's like no noise, and it's not it's very clean. But I wish it was more distorted actually. But I can just push it to the nth degree and see how much it can take to get those saturated tones that the ear likes. But you can listen to like drum recordings, older drum recordings, and like obviously it's on a tape machine. It's really hard to get that nowadays, even with all the gear in the world, even with the tape machine and the mixers and the outboard gear patched in. It's tough. I think it's much easier to get that sound digitally nowadays. Just being able to sculpt it to the nth degree and stack a lot of things. But I think less is more. I don't think you need much. Just the basic stuff is all you need.
Yeah, wow. I agree with that actually. Less is more. Wow. It kind of
Yeah,
reminds me a little bit of Steve Lacy's album that was like his first album, I think, that he released. He made it on his iPhone on GarageBand.
that's
Or
amazing.
and he made a beat for Kendrick Lamar on GarageBand on his iPhone. I think it was
Yeah,
Damn or something. Pride.
yeah, I think that's so cool. Yeah, having the restrictions are the most important thing. You can't just have infinity.
Ooh.
Infinity requires a finite space to exist, and the more confined a finite space is, the more sometimes infinities can occur. Beautiful infinities, and they require each other. So you have like on a sphere are infinite angles, but you never leaves the sphere. Infinity never leaves the sphere, but there's infinity on it. So uh yeah, I think it's good to just have just the things that work for you. You just find those simple elements, primary elements that work through playing around, just through time itself, just to
Yeah.
spending time with things and seeing what you like and what works for you. And you don't need much, just a few pedals. You
Mhm.
could use an MBOX interface, a Behringer interface, whatever. You can use an iPhone. You can make a whole album on an iPhone. GarageBand sounds incredible. It is made to sound
Yeah.
incredible. Like when you peep GarageBand, like you clip it, you redline it, sounds good. It's made to sound good because that's what everybody's doing. And so
Yeah.
it's made to compress it in a way so that it's not too overblown, but it also is really, man, the beats I've heard with GarageBand, Spooky, who's in Vinyl Williams, his project's called Hot MT, and he's about to release a new project called Lucky. And the beats he was showing me for that in GarageBand are absolutely perfect sounding. Just
Mhm.
you don't need anything else. You just need a free app. You might need a smartphone, but um, it's like it's because back in the day you'd need like top of the line drum machines and sequencers, and you'd have to know how to use those. Like 12 or
Yeah.
13 was using Fruity Loops, and I think Fruity Loops is a really easy way to make beats easily. It's so quick, easier, faster than any program I've ever used, and I haven't used it in a long time, but I kind of want to get back into it.
Yeah.
Um,
Have
but
you explored
yeah,
Ableton?
yeah, I've tried. I'm a Logic person. I just
Me
started
too.
using Logic. Oh, cool. Yeah, I just started using it like early on, and I like that it's just basic and it gives you instruments.
Yeah.
I'm sure Ableton gives you instruments too, but I like that it's really completely up to you. Like it's very precise. Like the difference with Logic and Ableton is that the EQ that it comes with, that just the Logic EQ, incredibly precise. You can
Yeah.
go so fine with it and go to down to the point frequency, and the analyzer is extremely fine to the hertz level. Ableton is a little bit larger curves, a little bit less defined. It sounds automatically better. Ableton, again, it's like kind of like where GarageBand meets Logic for me, where it just is
Exactly.
made to sound incredible. It's just it sounds so juicy. Ableton sounds like gummy, like fields of gummy bear worms and gummy trees. Everything that's made in Ableton is a Wizard of Oz, Willy Wonka world.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and
true.
it's because the possibilities are just absolutely infinite and endless. But that's not how I work. I like to work within, just my body. I like to do it. I like to make motions with my body, capture it, and I don't do
Oh.
much else with. I don't do much else after that. I love using effects, but it has to be used in the moment of getting the sound. Like I don't really do much after. Like I can play around with things, but I'm like, meh, it's not the sound that I could just get a better sound initially. But the amount of play that you could do with Ableton is incredible. But I don't really, I just kind of like record it and I put a lot of concentration and effort into getting the sound and the performance that I wanted in whatever instrument. and as long as the tone and the performance is there, there's not much else I have to do to it. I would love to be more free with the possibilities of Ableton and electronic music. I've been using Logic to make more electronic stuff lately for the first time in so long, just to see if I could do it. And
Yeah.
it's so fun, especially when you use cassette too. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
just give it the real texture on top of the, like, digital electronic kind of sound. Um, and I've been making a lot of new stuff like that. It's really fun to work with like that. But yeah, I think whatever you use, whatever you gel with,
Mhm.
like I use Cinema 4D for 3D worlds, and a lot of people use Blender, and I tried to use Blender, and I just learned Cinema 4D, so I just can't, like, I can't rework my brain for it. It's too different for me. So just use what you use, and just keep spending time on that thing. Don't get too distracted. Don't do, I would not recommend doing too many different mediums. Just stick with the ones. Spend some time with the ones that you're already really good at, and get really good at them. But I also love doing all things, jack of all trades. I don't spend too much time on any single instrument or anything. It's just a little bit here and there over time. But yeah.
Yeah, I think about Andres 3000's new album. I don't know if you've heard it, with it being at 432 hertz. The whole album is like a whole therapy session for you to find peace.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
yeah,
You know,
I don't know how he like, did that.
yeah, yeah. It's you know, Atlanta represent. I've been spending a lot of time in Atlanta this year. I've been there 4 times or something. That city is amazing. Yeah, that is the city of music, because that's the only city I've ever seen where everybody's blasting music in the streets in their
Mm.
cars. And not only that, but they're in turquoise Escalades with crazy ass rims, and like it's just like people are having a good time in Atlanta. And the music that comes out of there, it's beautiful and fun, which is rare to get that kind of that to get that. Usually they're opposites sometimes. But man, Andre 3000, yeah, dude, that flute music. Keep doing the flute music. Do the ancient
So
melodies.
crazy.
Do it in 432. There's 43,200 seconds in 12 hours. So 432 does resonate with the day, how long the day is. So
Whoa.
I don't I I think that 432 music is just, I mean, it can resonate with the Earth's time of
Mhm.
that its spin, but I don't know, I haven't seen personally its effects, evidence of its effects. I'm extremely interested in biological implications of music, and how it can therapeutically and help the body and the mind and spirit. That's just my life's goal, my life's purpose, basically. And I've done a lot of hardcore research to see what works and what doesn't work. But there's just there's just the evidence is all wishy-washy in the field. But since then, I've come
Yeah,
up with my
it
own
is.
theories for it as well. But I stick with the math. I love evidence. Like 43,200 seconds in
Uh,
12 hours. That's a number. And
that's
86,400
crazy.
seconds in 24 hours. The sun is 864,000 miles across. So it's the same number of the amount of seconds in a
Whoa.
day. So there's a lot of mathematical harmonizations in our solar system and moon and sun and planet proportions that I write music directly about, because I want people to know that there's structure here, and that there if there are mathematical harmonizations and structures and alignments, like the moon and sun proportions fitting perfectly inside of each other,
Like the eclipse,
then
right?
that's like the eclipses. I wrote the song Petroglyph directly about the moon and sun proportions and how
So
they fit
catchy.
perfectly inside of each other. Thank you. And it's just, but I want people to know that there's structure in our solar system and in the universe, that there's possibilities of structure, that we can experience a very chaotic and random life, but the blueprint underneath it, which is like the track that our earth moves on or the track that our spirit moves on, it's extremely structured and harmonized. It creates a bunch of diversity and chaos that otherwise we wouldn't have diversity. We wouldn't have all the plants and animals wouldn't be all different. We would, but
Mhm.
you have to have a little bit. But we're in a great we're yeah, I just inject that right into the music because I want people to have hope of the structure and not feel nihilistic that
Yeah.
there's no point or that you're just a tiny blip or that
Wow.
nothing ever matters or that there's just everything's just random. Not true. There's a structure, there's meaning, and
Mhm.
every relationship that we have is tuning us up and it's evolving us. So there's no randomness. I mean, it's not that it's predestined. It's just that it's structurally making itself like a plant makes itself to be in equilibrium, and that's how
Yeah.
time is moving forward. You know?
Yeah, and sometimes
Um,
that plant has to die in winter in order for it to survive and all the leaves fall
yeah,
off, and
absolutely.
it's
To
terrible,
to
but
replenish the ground and the soil and everything. Yeah. And and definitely no pain, no gain. That's for sure. And it's all evolution, but it's very meaningful. I've seen the incredible meaningful experiences and relationships that people have had that have only made people grow. And we're just growing and growing, and the whole human race and the whole universe just seems to be growing towards a higher state of awareness and understanding and morality, actually, because if you just look into the past, it just gets less high quality of life. It just gets more chaotic if you get into the past. Of
mhm.
course, it ebbs and flows up and down. Like Iran had a higher quality of life in the 70s before the revolution. Now it's Sharia law. So things are way more chaotic in Iran than they were 40 years ago. But in average, the whole world is way, way more higher quality, way more leisurely than it ever has been before. And it's only moving more towards that. And that's another hopeful fact,
Yep.
that it's not all just going to shit, is that it's actually the whole universe is learning and becoming smarter, and we
Yeah.
are as well. And we're just growing more aware. So I just want people to know that. So music is the only way that I can express it because everybody, especially the new generation and the Gen Z, millennials, and older people, they just are getting more nihilistic. And I don't, if you really understand, if you could think about this structure, then you don't have to feel so, so negative. You can
Mhm.
really actually embrace the miracle of life. Seriously.
Yeah, and
But
that
yeah.
gets so messy when you start thinking about the next few steps that we're experiencing now is artificial intelligence. Like, is that considered life? Like, where is that question? Where's that line? And like,
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I don't know if yeah, it's hard for me to comment on that.
mhm,
It's funny because I'm actually, if I were to be just bluntly honest,
mhm,
I wouldn't want us to be on this track of using or requiring artificial intelligence to become more advanced because it's kind of like thinking that we need to launch rockets out into space to go to Mars and all of this, which we do need to do. I guess we're doing that in our current state of evolution in current time, but it's not. You don't have to travel out there to go anywhere, and
ooh, you don't even have
um,
to leave your room.
you don't have to leave your room. The universe is on you, and
Yeah, you're on a
but
rock right now,
yeah,
on a planet.
you could, yeah, but I think that I think that nature and the earth and this feminine presence that guards the earth feels um a little bit upset at this trajectory that humans are on with AI, but I don't fully agree with it. Yeah, I don't
Mhm.
I don't use AI. I mean, I've used it a little bit, but I still. It's not that I'm not a fan of it. It's just that I'm definitely not a fan of it. But it's not that I reject it.
Yeah,
It's not that I reject it. It's just I'm critical of it. I'm
yeah,
very critical of it. I think that And I mean, obviously, it can solve. I think it's great. It can solve the problems that we can't solve. But um, what humans can create, the combinations and strangeness and the magic that we can create, it should not and will never be replaced by these machines. I mean, obviously, they can do anything that we could do, but the weird combinations, though, that we even though that we could just type in a weird combo and have an AI generate it, I'm talking about weird things like Robert Thompson or something, the painter who was an abstract expressionist who just started painting these figures that were solid colors. And it's like this forest, but all the beings are just solid red or solid purple or solid blue. And their whole silhouette is just a solid color. That revolutionized the world in the time period that he was in,
Mm,
because in the turn of the century, you only painted kind of still realistic figure. And so he just was like, no, I'm just going to paint a solid. And I think that's really cool. That's just not something that AI can do.
mhm.
We can tell it to solve these kind of
Right.
problems, but not absurd creative things like
Right,
that.
like
I mean, obviously, it can make
anti-problems.
beautiful pieces of art. You can make beautiful, absurd pieces of art, but there's nothing can replace human absurdity and human intuition, though.
Yep.
That you know it telling you this is the correct way to go. If your intuition is telling you not to, you should probably listen to that gut feeling. Because I think that's more important. When has your gut feeling really been wrong? It's telling you not to hang out with this friend that day. You're like, I really don't want to hang
Ooh.
out with that friend. And you hang out with a friend, and you had some anxiety. You knew about it beforehand. Kind of, it
Mhm.
was weird. Like it's just like our gut feeling is true. It's incredible if you look back on if you trace your gut feelings, how true they could have been. But
Do you think
yeah.
your gut feeling is the same as your soul?
Um, I think that it's an aspect of it. It's funny that we call it the gut feeling because it happens in our stomach. We feel it in our stomach,
Oh,
and
yeah.
but our stomach is is our decision maker because when we have to eat, our stomach's like hungry, and so that's what makes us get up
Yeah.
and do something. So our is it's choosing. It's our impulsive, but also cool decision making.
Yep.
So it's like I think it's an aspect of our soul, a quality of our soul. But yeah, I think, and that's not even our full intuition, but that's just the impulsive
Mhm.
moment. But sometimes it can be not necessarily wrong, but it can just be, just for maybe a thought that's just for you. But usually the spec things are just for you. It's what you need. The decisions for yourself. So
Yeah.
I think it's easy to listen to that, but it's more interesting when you start to actually like write them down, the impulses, or like deconstruct them, be like, what was that really? Where did
Ooh.
that come from? Or what was I feeling? But yeah, that's a I'm
Yeah.
also very interested in those ideas because just weird intuitive things. I used to do this thing uh called Weird Drive where me and a friend, we would just drive somewhere random and we
Whoa.
wouldn't know where or why. And every single time something weird would- and
That
we just knew something weird would happen, but we
yeah.
don't know where or why or when. We just know something weird. And then always, every time
Wow.
something weird happens.
Yep. That's
But
a
we
there's
don't
a
know when we're gonna
there's a
but yeah.
huge theory around that. Its base of it is simulation theory, the idea that we are simulating our reality, and the computer spends most of its energy on simulating the places where it knows you're going to be. So if you go to random places that you have no reason of being there, you're stepping like kind of behind the computer. You're stepping a little bit behind the simulation, and that's where like you start experiencing like glitches in the matrix and stuff like that. You see it more often, more synchronicities and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
It's possible. I I think everybody is, a universe in of itself, but we intersect them like soap bubbles, that when you and I are discussing right now, our universes are colliding, they're converging, and everybody watching this right now, their universes are intersecting with ours right now and sharing information with each other. But,
But some
I think
universes are fucked up. Some universes are mean and and should be sad and depressed.
well, we all go through those too. We should though. We have to go through the whole range of universes, all the qualities of emotions and everything.
Right, but we don't have to like attach ourselves to those and fight them. Like we can understand that universes have black holes and black holes clash all the time, and just because you're clashing doesn't mean you're like different than everybody else.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I, personally, I don't think that we're in like I wouldn't say that we're in a simulation like technically like per se like a computer simulation, but I
Mm,
think that there are definitely higher advanced entities that can create solar systems and create little experiments and and universes possibly.
here's one.
Yeah, and I think
Our
that
brain.
we and our brain as well.
Brain
Yeah,
does that.
it's one of the least known things that is still on this earth is the human brain. We just don't
Yeah.
know how it does what it does.
Yeah, I
But
actually yeah. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Finish your point. Finish your
I
point.
was just gonna say the kind of engineering of nature is extremely
Yep.
it's nothing that humans could ever achieve. It's nothing that AI could ever achieve. I mean, honestly, AI is
Accidentally,
doing a
maybe.
pretty good job at getting to the level of human or biological engineering. But I'm telling you, man, the structure of biology and of planets and everything, incredible structure,
Yep.
majestic, genius, not random structure. We have 15 trillion cells on our body, and every cell has trillions of atoms. So we have quintillion atoms on our body, and they're all working together to create our being,
Regenerating.
our sense of being. It's
Yeah.
just you can't create that. I mean, just to even try to create a tree from try to engineer a tree, how it brings the water up through its upwards through its systems all the way to the tips of the leaves. You know, like going
Yeah.
against gravity. Just incredible pressure systems, intricate, incredibly intricate uh, systems. The universe is insanely advanced.
Here's what
It,
I
it
think is difficult is to like do something that is opposite of that. Like try to do something that does not reflect something in the universe already. You can't.
yeah.
You probably can't, honestly.
Well, you can get to really simple things, like E equals MC square status stuff, where it's like
Oh, right. Or
that has nothing
AI.
to do with the universe, but it's an idea that is that energy equals mass times the speed of light squared, which is
Yeah.
insane. It's an insane idea. You could think about that your whole life. But the simple ideas are actually what are leading us towards our epiphanies, not these crazy complex quintillion atom structures, because
Mhm.
we can't comprehend those kind of infinities. We can only comprehend a simple Easter egg of information.
Yeah, kind of like driving your car. Like the more you think about what you're doing, you're driving a fucking like 1 ton thing that is like super heavy, a bunch of metal. It's like a weapon. Like you could literally like destroy anything. And you're just sitting there driving it like while you're listening to music, you're making out with a girl. And like it's just you're so mindless of the thing that you're doing. You're doing such a complicated thing and you're not
Yeah.
even thinking about it. You do it every day and
Yeah,
yeah.
the motions. I think about all the time that when we're driving, and we get somewhere, we kind of forgot that we were driving a little bit, which happens to
Oh
everybody.
yeah.
You notice if you really think back, like, damn, I kind of drove really safely and perfectly. And
Yeah.
drive really safe when you're in autopilot. And I feel like that's kind of like when you are a puppet at the most, is when
Yeah.
like your motion is like a little bit predetermined in that moment,
You
slightly. Not predetermined, but it's happening for you.
you
It's
are
automatic.
yeah. You're
You
completely in
are,
the illusion,
yeah, but
the
like it's a
dream.
that you can go places and you can do things and you meet people that change your life forever. And like your motion of going there, it was so important for your life that like it was almost like it's almost like the same thing of being on autopilot, like that motion of you needing to get there. It was
Mhm.
just it's just perfect. I don't think that's again, I don't think it's predetermined. I just think that like how it's building into the future is creating all these beautiful orchestrations and combining all these new people together and
Yeah.
making all new music. It's incredible.
It reminds me a little bit of a dream. Like if you can have so many dreams in a night, and the first dream that you have, you experience it, but you don't have any control over anything. You know what I mean? You're just kind of there and you don't even know you're dreaming. You know what I mean? And you might not even remember the dream. And then you might have a lucid dream and it might be the same dream in just a different instance where you just snap into the dream. And you're like, whoa, I'm like very aware that I'm dreaming. And that is like maybe we do that same thing here, and with the moment we just kind of like snap back when we lose our keys and we come back into the moment. Like when you lost your keys or when you dream, like there's so
No,
like
totally.
50% of the population on the earth right now is completely gone. Like they're asleep. They have no idea where they are. At all times, 50% of the people on earth are just in another place.
I guess that's true, huh? I never really thought about that. So you lucid dream, huh?
Uh I think I've been aware of dreams like right before I wake up. Maybe I've lucid dreamed like one time, but
Okay.
I have had instances where I'm like, okay, I know I'm dreaming. For example, my sleep paralysis. I get sleep paralysis. I used to get them a lot more than I do now, and it would be like a test of pure will of me waking myself up. And
Yeah, because you
maybe
can't move.
you can't
Yeah.
move it, and maybe it's something to do with the fact that you're not in like a very deep cycle of sleep, so you can like subconsciously be like, okay, I'm not asleep, but I can't move. So
That's so interesting. Yeah, I've met so
so
many people.
interesting, dude.
I've
So
met
crazy.
endless people that have had those experiences. I've never had that experience,
Oh, you lucky man.
and I've barely ever lucid dreamt as
Yeah,
well.
me too.
I can never. Yeah, we're the same, man. I'm very gullible when I'm dreaming. I'm super hyper literal. I'm a really hyper literal person in general. So like in the dreams, I'm just accepting it. I'm like, yeah, oh, this is there. This is
Yeah.
happening. I'm here. I never doubt
Yeah.
it, and it's really hard. Whenever I've had slight doubts, it kind of flushes away into a new place, and I just accept that.
Right.
I'm just kind of like I'm just kind of following it along. It's really hard for me to pull back from it
Mhm.
completely, which is weird. But I've met people that can create entire scenes of dinosaurs running down a hill and with a camera crew following them, and then like a drone comes in and like there's like a flying saucer attack and they're all creating it in their
Mhm.
mind. And I just think that is incredible.
Or like a
That's like the
huge
ultimate
naked
goal.
woman.
Yeah, just the right, just creating what your
Anything.
mind wants. That's I've actually had so little experience with that in the dream world is that that's a big reason of why I make 3D worlds is because it's a chance for me to do that without
Mhm.
so I can just create
Oh.
what I want.
Yeah.
You can just create it's like having a slate of your mind and being like, okay, what do I want to see here? And Cinema 4D is so easy to allow you to just make a whole world, and you don't have to be super technical with it. Um, and so, so that's just kind of my lucid dreaming space. And it's funny because the more I'm working on
Wow.
video work, the less I dream because
Ooh.
I'm like making it in there, and like, I'm not really, and my dreams are very rarely like anything I ever create.
Mhm.
A lot of the dreams I still remember are, but
Yeah.
um, but most of them are just they're not normal, but they're surreal still, but not they're very grounded. You know, they involve humans
Yeah.
and houses and things, and that's just not anything like what I create in the art stuff. But I have had a dream of a blue mosque a couple times with a bunch of Turkish carpets in the back alley
Ooh.
and I was like, this is it. This is the place. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm so happy to be here. And then I think I've been there twice, but it's just, oh, I have been to this, I've recurringly been to this water park, or no, it's a theme park on the water, and it has blue domes there too. And that's really relevant because I make kind of like theme park kind of roller coaster worlds
Yeah, I
kind
was gonna
of
say
in a
like
way.
Opal.
Yeah,
Opal's like a sphere, blue sphere.
yeah, and I've made some like roller coaster music videos too.
I've been to
But
your concert and I saw it. One of my favorite concert
oh,
visuals ever.
sweet.
We got our hands up, and right before we go
Yeah, yeah,
down, you go straight into the screen,
yeah.
baby, and you're just like, and you guys start jamming, bro. Genius, genius, dude.
Thank
I've
you.
never seen
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
before.
So yeah, that's you know, I just had this roller coaster video and I realized that goes down this really big drop at this part of the song. So I'm like, why don't we just do this thing with the audience where we put their hands up? And yeah, I started doing more interactive stuff. Like I've been playing the music of people's birthdays in the audience for the last tour.
Whoa.
We called out people's names and birthdays, and we would just make a song on the spot based on the music of the
No
intervals
way.
between birthdays. So that was that was
Wow.
pretty interesting. But
Wait,
yeah, like
can I hear an example of like of something that you did? Like maybe mine's like October 8th. I don't know if it works like
okay,
that.
so I'm March 4th, and so you're almost exactly 7 months after me, or 5 months. I'm 5 months after you, which
Five
is
months.
seven notes because there's 12 notes in an octave and 12 months of the year. So there's one note per 1 month. So if your son's up, oh, it's 7 notes, which is a fifth. We're musical fifths, which is
Oh.
very it's the most basic harmony. It's extremely agreeable and we're on the same page. We have the same tastes, we like the same things, we're interested in the same topics,
Perfect fifth
and we
is the
do this,
father.
yeah, yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's the most basic harmony, the most basic structure possible. So it's very much it's
Right.
great best friend energy and a very mature
Yeah.
relationship um and it's a long lasting, you know, friendship and everything. So it's fifths are great, you know, they're very harmonious. And yeah, like, so give me one other person's birthday in your life.
April
Don't tell me
20th.
who it is.
Okay.
April 20th. Okay, so let's do this math. So November, December, January, February, March, April. So okay, so they're between 6 and 7 months. So between 6 and 5 on the other. So I believe you're between a tritone and a fifth, which you're microtonal with each other. Let me make sure.
Whoa.
Let me do this again in my head. So let's go from April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So 6, yeah. So you're between a fifth and a tritone, which is like a gamelan gong, or it's like a gamelan. It's it's super out there. It's super otherworldly,
Wow.
and it could be very psychedelic. You share you get into trouble with each other, or you share a
Whoa.
lot in common. You share a lot in common with each other musically and creatively, but in terms of like rational things, sometimes you can get into trouble a little bit with each other, maybe. Or it can be the tritone can be a bit triggering. It can get a bit intense sometimes.
Wow.
But
That's insane.
but
That's so
yeah,
accurate.
so the tritone is a little unstable in terms of rational things, but a fifth is very stable. So you're in between. So I would say you're so similar to this person. You have so much in common that it's almost too much, maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just it's just like a lot, yeah.
Wow.
But it's super out there. It's the super microtonal frequency. But yeah, so the low note is the rational one in any given situation. So, because
Wow.
think about it, the low note holds the high note. It's the structure
Oh,
underneath it that's the voice.
right.
So whoever's the low note, whoever's being rational, responsible, or in control, they're the low note in the situation.
Mm.
So with you two and with us, it doesn't really. It's interchangeable. The low and the high note are pretty similar frequencies, actually, but
Right, yeah.
a lot of other relationships have more specific roles. Like if you're 1 month apart from somebody, when you're the low note, it's da dum da dum. It's a half step. So
Oh,
that means it's hard for you to be directly responsible sometimes for people born a month after you or born after you, right after you. But when they're responsible for you,
wow.
it's an octave. So it's a major seventh. Da 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 da. So it's way more beautiful and transcendent when people born right after you are responsible for you. They're much better foundation for you, frequency wise. So yeah, but
Does a major 7 still sound as good if you go from the root to the 7th?
well, no, because that's kind of a half step.
Right, that's what I was
Well,
thinking.
yeah, so that's what I'm talking about is that
Da da. Right,
yeah,
right, right.
so the half steps make it challenging sometimes for rational,
Yeah, interesting.
but like people can be
Right.
married for 20 years and they're born 1 month apart from each other. And like let's say let's just say it's a man or a woman. Say the woman is born on April 20th and the man is born on March 20th. So the woman is born a month after him. So when he tries to be the root note for her, it's da-dum, super dissonant. So it's hard. So
Um,
she's probably the leader because da da when she's the root note for him,
um,
probably more the responsible one than him, and more easily the rational one. And could be the most responsible person in the world, but whenever he does it for her, it's way more challenging, and it's going to be very difficult. And so she's the sugar mama of that relationship. I've found these roles are just it's just the frequencies, just the sounds of our souls. And it really the map is not the territory, so
wow.
it's not gonna tell you what is gonna happen in
Mhm.
your relationship, but it's gonna tell you what challenges to expect emotionally and what emotional
Yeah.
roles might play with each other, and you can definitely expect a lot of those things. And it's good to have a guide for me because I never know why things are so challenging with some people and not with others. But once I know, it's really more about the space between rather than the individual, you know.
Wow. Right,
So
yeah, because there's this idea that there are no such thing as a wrong note.
oh yeah, no wrong no. It's all about the contrast.
How
The
could there
twin
be?
Yeah, it's arbitrary. I mean, any note could be any note by itself, but once you put another one there, then there's a relationship. And that's what
Yeah.
and our relationships literally are musical in nature. Like here, give me one other birthday of somebody else in your life.
February 27.
Okay. So November, December, January, February. Okay, so you're kind of so this person is between a major third and a fourth above you,
Ooh,
uh, and you're between a minor sixth
okay.
and a fifth. So again, you a fifth again. So like you should be very on the same page, extremely on the same page, especially emotionally, maybe. But this person loves you though because they're between a major third and a fourth above you, so they like you a lot. This person really
Mm,
likes you. Like you bliss them out.
mhm.
It's a very happy chord. A major third
Wow,
and a fourth. It's a joyous, very joyful chord when you're
wow,
responsible for them, and when they're responsible for you, it's between a fifth and a minor sixth, which is between like getting along, being on the same page. And a minor six is more melancholic, more emotional, but it's good. It's a release of emotions. It can be very healthy. It's like therapy,
wow.
you know.
Yeah,
So you
that's
guys could
crazy.
share your with each other. But
Wow.
this you make this person very happy. I mean, this person can make you happy too. But when you're responsible for them, it's more of a
Mm,
joyous chord.
wow.
But yeah, I I'm making sure that my phone is not gonna die. Okay, good, sweet.
Oh,
It might die, but
okay,
we can talk until it dies.
okay,
Yeah, I can plug it in actually, let me do that.
oh, okay, sweet. I actually wanted to share
There
with
we go.
you something that I've been working with recently. Do you know by any chance Dennis Ham? You do?
Not off the top. I don't think
He
so.
he's the keyboard player for Thundercat.
Oh, I was totally going to mention Thundercat in this talk that we were giving based on what you said in advance.
Really?
Yes, he's his keyboardist right now.
Yeah, he played on Drunk and tours with him.
Okay, so he took Austin Peralta's position, which who could fill that place? And he did,
Yeah,
and he is the shredder. But yeah, like I mean, Thundercat is one of my biggest influences of all time. So
I agree.
yeah,
Oh, there we go. I forgot to ask you that question. Damn. Well, thank you for answering it.
yeah.
But I actually interviewed him on my podcast earlier, and I got to talk to him this morning because he's working on this program called Synthesonics, which I just wanted to show it to you real quick. If I can share my screen. Uh, so can you see this?
I should in a moment. Yes, I can.
Okay, sweet. So it's an app. It's beta right now, and it's made by Dennis Ham. And it's what it does. It works it live to where you can play chords. Here, let me turn off the sound. You can play chords and tells you the percentage of the root chord that you're playing, the number, and also the emotions that you're playing as
Wow.
well. And these are characters, but you can come down here and you can change all of these emotions to your actual people in your life. Like instead of brother, you put your brother's name, or best friend, your best friend's name. And you can actually change these to chord emotions and like a bunch of stuff. And also there's colors that also intertwined with the emotions. And so yeah, it tells you live time the emotions that you're portraying while you're playing, and the percentage and the scales as well of those emotions and the scales
Amazing.
chords.
See, this is the collective conscious. Musicians are starting to understand, trying to make it known all of these the mysteries of music and how it applies to so many things that are, like a half step. There, you cannot debate that that is foreboding. There are certain things to music that are just certain frequency qualities that are not debatable. And just like how he has assigned emotions to intervals here, there are certain intervals that have certain emotions. It's just plain and simple. So yeah, I wish I could show you my app as well. Musical Astro-
Oh, I didn't know you had
um,
an app. That's so sick.
Yeah, maybe you can post something about it, like an image or something in this podcast. But
Yeah,
it's
I will.
exactly like that, and it does exactly what you want it to do. Where you put it has your friends and all the people in your life,
No
and it shows the
way.
impulse. And yeah, it's called musical astrology.
That's crazy. And he actually asked me to give you his information and the access to this app because he wanted your opinion on it. And let me show you this real quick. If okay. Oh man, I'm
I
trying to see.
talk to Japan.
I want to show. So basically, they took all of these emotions for one of the songs. I think it was Luke and Leia's lullaby
Oh,
or something, and they put all of the emotions for like some meters, and they all of the emotions for those parts they put it into ChatGPT and created images for each of those chords, and they released a video, and it's like the spookiest thing you've ever seen. Like the pictures are generated exactly like the music is, like the emotions of the music look exactly like the picture.
oh my goodness! I've never thought that that was possible. Wow, that's pretty incredible.
I'll send you that on Instagram, man, later
See,
when I find it.
this is the thing that is it is my absolute duty and purpose in life to make it known the music of birthdays because
Yeah.
there is an objective geometrical resonance to certain intervals and frequencies that have emotional properties. You know, and it's just how we resonate with each other. It's the same emotional
Hmm.
properties. We don't know exactly the complexities we're going to get, but
Yeah.
it's a blueprint, you know,
Hmm.
and it's very helpful in guiding because we use the word resonate. you know, uh, we resonate with each other,
That's so
but
true.
we literally resonate musically with each other. With
Wow.
and what's crazy is, on a Chandli plate, like where you can see the geometries of sand when you put certain frequencies, you resonate the plate with a certain frequency, and
Mm,
you'll see
yeah.
sand on it forming a geometry. It's a symmetrical
Oh,
geometry
right.
that
Yeah.
is the geometry of that interval or
Oh.
that frequency. I bet if you were to look at our particles of water or our how they arrange themselves in on our body when we're in each other's presence or when we're thinking about somebody or communicating with somebody, I bet you'd find the same geometries that happen with
Ooh.
based on our birthdays, based on the resonance of our birthdays. You'd find the same sonic geometries in how our particles are arranging themselves, which is causing our moods, and it's causing us to act differently around the same people. And But I've been talking to microbiologists about this. I've been literally trying to do studies about trying to
Whoa.
prove prove that we do
That's
resonate musically because
crazy.
you can find the affect of it. If things are vibrating, then there's an affect. It's going to affect the physical world. Our particles are vibrating. Um, and
Mm.
I think that we are vibrating differently on the quantum level in each other's presence. So if you can prove that, then you can prove that there's something underneath is to basically prove the existence of a soul. I feel like I've already fully accepted that the soul is there's something intangible that is resonating because you could be writing an email to somebody and you don't even know who it is. You've never talked before and you're already acting in the way that you resonate with your birthdays. Like
Mm.
if you're trying to, maybe book your band at a venue and you're emailing somebody that just happens to be born a month after you, it might be a lot more challenging for that person to like you or for them to accept your offer, and so you might already be acting a little bit more immature in how you're talking to them without even knowing them, and they might be on the other side of the planet too. So it's local. It's happening. It doesn't matter if you're in the same space. Our souls can send information through space time, um, anywhere else on the planet. This is why, like, we have this other track of technology instead of AI, which is this organic wormholes that are connecting everything. But now we have a, a, like an iteration above that, which is the internet, where we've connected everything through the internet. But everything's already connected through wormholes.
That's
But we just
so
don't
true.
have the technology to send information through wormholes yet. So we do actually. We have successfully entangled
Yeah.
particles and sent information from a Chinese satellite to Earth faster than the speed of light instantaneously.
Mhm.
So we are making progress with it. But still, I think thousands of years ago we were way easily went through wormholes. We got that
Yeah.
wormhole technology down.
You know
You
what I
know
think? You know what I think a wormhole teleporter is?
what's that?
Modular synthesizers.
Yes, sir. I
You know
agree.
what I'm saying?
Definitely, yeah. You're creating the hallways of the wormholes with the modular synth. You're procedurally generating the pathway, and creating the system to do that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it almost feels like you're putting up your ear next to a wall, and you're like trying to see if you can understand anything. You're trying to see if you can catch a glimpse of this soul, of this wormhole, to see if you can somehow like at least acknowledge it and see it
yeah,
as like some weird ass thing, like a weird sound. You start hearing like muffled, like people talking or like weird shit like that.
totally. Yeah. Oh my God, I've been recording things, and like for some reason, all these weird squeaking voice sounds are coming through the tape machine and the cassette machine. I have no idea who the voice is or what the voice is, or it's just like almost somebody talking. I didn't record it, and I'm kind of scared to listen to what it's actually saying, but because it might be the radio or something. I'm not sure, but it doesn't sound like
Ooh.
me. But you just leave that stuff in there, you know? It just
Yeah.
all those voices, all the things that just happen, you know, those are the most beautiful things with music. They're like almost waiting to be born, you know, like just these weird,
Oh,
just
yeah.
but
I've heard that before somewhere.
yeah, a lot of people think that, but um
But like that ideas exist and that we like almost like fish for them or
yeah,
something.
I think that I think that the potential of ideas is a pool. You know, it's like a pool of awareness, and
Oh.
we can we can just dip into it every once in a while. We do all the time, but you know, sometimes we get an idea, and then like thousands of other people around the earth get the same idea around the same time. And I noticed that some people started making TikTok videos about the music of birthdays or within the first couple months of me first coming up with the idea. And there was nothing posted before that. Um,
Mm.
People have thought about this idea before. I even think that Pythagoras might have even thought
Oh.
that we resonate musically with each other because he
Right.
talked about the harmony of the spheres, the music of the planets, and how it has effects on us. I
Yeah.
think that what he was saying was just way too advanced for 500 BC, and people couldn't, you know. There's no written accounts of Pythagoras' life either, so there's no actual documents of what he actually said, unfortunately. So if we had that, then we might actually see that this
Right.
information.
Like
Uh,
he might not even know had existed. Maybe he was just a group of like intelligent ass people who decided to try to change history or something like that.
it's possible because yeah, no, it's totally possible because he was supposedly killed, and you know by the Greek, you know,
Right.
government or however it went down.
Yeah.
And so why would he be in the history books if he was just killed?
Ooh,
So it's
yeah,
like think about
interesting.
it, you know? Yeah, but
The whole
I think even if he was a group of people, you know, those people worked hard for that knowledge, and
Oh, yeah.
you know, they created music as we know it. The
Yeah.
frequencies of Pythagoras created the ratio of musical
Oh,
pitch.
that's right.
That the length of an object determines the pitch of the frequency.
Oh.
So, and that length and pitch are related. That the waveform has a length. So he came up with the ratio of the fifth, which we are. you and that we're a Pythagorean fifth, you and me, basically. And he came up with that. And so,
Wow,
and then
that's
Pythagorean music,
crazy.
that's what was used all the way for 2,000 years or whatever. No, yeah, 2,000 years it was used. And,
Wow.
you know, and then, yeah, and but if you listen to that old Pythagorean music, it's on those, you know, you could look it up, like the ancient Greek melodies, like the hymnal chant, I think it's called, or like the one of the oldest known melodies in the world. Um, you know, you can hear it on like those old lutes, those ancient Pythagorean melodies are so beautiful and amazing. So it's really cool stuff.
Yeah, it makes me think a little bit of how humans have always compared the brain to their highest available technology that they own.
Yeah.
And that's just interesting, like, because I mean, theoretically, technology is just gonna keep getting better and better and better. And I don't think our brain really has a limit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think our brain
No,
is
yeah,
so
we are kind
there.
of getting more leisurely and less acute. You know, we used to have to stay extremely crafty to survive in the past. You know,
Mhm.
you had to know how to make a house. You know, you know how to make the house insulated. You know, and if you didn't know how to make a house insulated 200, 300 years ago, like, you know, you're not going to have a good life. But yeah, like nowadays, yeah, it's way more leisurely, but we can spend our time on understanding space rather than matter now. We're moving into the era where we don't have to focus so much
Ooh.
on things. Space is all of what's there. Matter is
Wow.
barely what's there. Space is
Yeah.
all of what's there. So not only can we focus on the technology and the science of space, which is infinite to learn from that, but it's intangible. There's a lot of work that can be done on the intangible, not on the physical world. We can stop using so many resources now. You know, we can focus on the intangible technologies, um, and also space, allowing space to not have any obligations, to not do things, having the welfare, I mean, that's the dream, right? Is to having a global welfare system, to not have to have space in your life, to not have to do anything. That's a beautiful fact, right? Just to exist. I think that's wonderful. Um,
Yeah, I love the quote, "Do nothing and nothing shall go undone."
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Less motion. You need to have times of nothing, and you need to be able to turn off and not work and not do things. I'm a bad person to say because I'm always in a manic state of
Me too.
working on creative, but like
I'm not me creatively, I work on other bullshit. I'm still working on getting that energy on the right places.
it's well, yeah. I mean, like, well, also work on other people's projects, and they are usually creative in nature, but like it's like you could. It's just it's just a balance, like, you have
Mhm.
to, yeah,
Oh,
like,
like the quote from the lyrics from your song, "How are you gonna save the dishes?" Oh my god. "How are you gonna save the world if you haven't washed your dishes?"
yeah, so okay, so this is from, Jim O'Rourke, actually, which is I'm not a fan of his, actually, but I guess he's the person that actually invented this quote. He's like a political satirist kinda guy, but how I found out about this is Thich Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk.
Oh, I got a bunch
He
of
went into a classroom and he wrote that on Oh, yeah, you like him. See,
Yeah,
that's what
I got a bunch of his books.
nice, dude, yes!
Mindfulness
Teak
in
rest in
action.
peace.
Yeah, man. Take
Teak's
the Han the
Teak vibe.
homie.
Teak not Han. The vibe.
Mhm.
The
No
the
bullshit.
the presence. The presence of gentleness. Oh, man, I love this guy. So, he went into a
Yeah.
classroom, and he wrote that on the chalkboard and was silent for 20 minutes, and I was watching this video, and everybody was, like, chuckling to themselves and laughing, and he was just really quiet for a really long time, and then eventually he stood up and said, he wrote how he's supposed to everybody wants to save the world, but nobody wants to help mom with the dishes. That's what he wrote on the board. But it's a
Oh,
Jim O'Rourke quote, but I guess Teak Nhat Hanh liked it.
wow.
And then he was silent, and then he said out of nowhere, he just spoke up and said, statistically, you probably will not save a burning orphanage of baby's life but just opening the door for an elderly person or small acts of kindness is has infinite value because we create our own universe. And to do those kinds of things on an individual level and basis and to think that kind of way in that altruistic kind of spirit will make life great collectively. And I think that that's what he was trying to understand, trying to just say that simple
Mhm.
fact. But he could have said nothing. He could have just
Yeah.
wrote that, but he said that afterwards, and I thought that that was interesting. I thought that was a cool
Yeah.
quote. He's great, and I mean, you don't even have to listen to him talk. You
Yeah.
could just you just you can just see his face, and there's this relaxedness in his face that I love. I think a lot of people love it. Is
Yeah.
his relaxed. It's funny that you can see a video of Thich Nhat Hanh, and yet you still feel relaxed in his presence. But you're just
Yeah.
watching a video of him. But yet you are seeing his soul.
Yeah.
Like it's just profound to me. I don't know. He's
Mhm.
top. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
man, and, it's funny how, like, I think that the word it's so interesting he said "mother." Like, and it's interesting that you took that out. I love when songs incorporate, like, moms into it as metaphors or whatever. But the reason I say that is because maybe the mother could be referring to, like, Mother Earth, in a sense, like, you wanna save the orphanage, but, like, you're not even, like, taking care of the earth, which essentially is yourself as well.
yeah,
And that when you don't take care of yourself, that's when your sink gets full of dishes.
exactly. Yeah, no, and he also said he has another quote that he said, if you're doing the dishes and thinking about the tea you're going to have afterwards,
You're not
then
giving the
you're
tea
not you're not
attention.
actually existing. and you can't even drink. You won't have the tea afterwards because when you're drinking the tea, you'll be thinking about something else afterwards.
Yeah,
He's like
exactly.
so he's that kind of,
Right,
like
right.
being present and embracing the infinite possibilities that you can create in the moment. And
Right.
even if it's absurdity, you
Yeah.
could just open your mouth and say some beautiful poetry. Who knows if it'll be great, but you could try it. If you try,
Or you can also go
yeah,
to a park and just sit down and just listen, and the universe will literally speak to you
yeah,
as
it will.
well.
It'll give you
And
the message. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
and yeah, like I'm thinking about meditation and also how like if you ever to sit down, like your mind is excellent at giving you something to think about all the time. And maybe that could be an example of saving an orphanage one day. You know what I'm saying? You're saying, and then you get the idea, oh, I have to save an orphanage right now. So I have to stop meditating and you stand up and go. But you wouldn't do that just because like your mouth salivated. And I say that because I think the mind makes thoughts in the same way that your mouth makes saliva. It salivates. Or your body farts. You don't smell a bad fart and go to therapy because of it.
yeah.
Like you don't re-
Totally.
you don't
Our
react
mind definitely salivates. It's
you
oozing.
can't control it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's constantly oozing our everything that is our whole past experience and probably DNA experiences before we were born and of other people in our family that we're reliving their thoughts and their experiences as well and their worries and compulsive thoughts all the time. You could trace our thoughts back. If you talk to your family members, you'll be like, "Oh, this is
Mm.
my grandma is the one that has the same thoughts that I have." It's like you can trace that back, and it helps to know if you have these points of reference. You'd be like, "Oh, this is the source," so I can think about that, and it can like diffuse the thought. If you understand the source. If you're unaware, then it'll just keep happening. But I
Right.
mean, obviously, they never end. But yeah, for
Yeah.
me, it's always going at a million miles an hour, lightning speed, manic possibilities of thought, all the things I could be doing and should be doing,
Mhm.
and it's overwhelming.
Mhm.
Um, but I just focus on what's right in front of me, and
Yeah.
I love having a to-do list every day of the things I need to do, and I focus on those things. And if you do that every day, you're building up the steps of the
Mhm.
of the of the pyramid. You're building it one at a time every day, and you just
Mhm.
need to focus. You need to all keep moving towards. You can plan a couple days a week or however often you can to move towards schedule, plan yourself towards moving towards those goals. Like I plan in the days like, oh, this day I'm going to do vocals 8 hours straight all the way through. And then that day is going to be, that song's going to be done by the end of that day. And there's no chance that it's not going to be really. I mean, because after 8 hours, it's got to be done because if it's not, then it's not good. So you just put that much time, and it just takes a lot of time. It's hard finding the time. It's really hard to find the time, but when you do, it's okay to schedule in that time for you, for your practice, and for
Yeah.
for yourself to have your space to do that. And just go in on it, commit in that time, to trying to finish the thing that you were trying to do.
Mhm.
It's always great to play around too, but when somebody's trying to,
Right, yeah.
like, my friend hit me up today, was like, "Hey, I wrote a new song," and I'm like, "Oh, sick! Like, do you want to record it, or do you want me to help write it for you, or whatever?" He's like, "No, I just want to play it for you, and just tell me what you think." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that's cool," but I'm always thinking like, how could let's do it, let's record it, let's finish it,
Wow.
let's like
Yeah.
I like having things, I like seeing things done even if it's, I do can let things sit for a while, but I try to just find the time to to finish it because it makes me more crazy to have all this unfinished stuff.
Right.
The more unfinished stuff there is that I like, that
Mhm.
because it's a bunch of unfinished stuff that you're like whatever about, it's like okay, but if there's some stuff that are some you there's some gems there, you want to finish that, it can make you crazy to not have that done, you know. So it makes you want to just devote the time to it, and that's all it really takes, you know.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah. I think about it like sometimes thoughts I've heard them described as clouds in the sky, and you're not the cloud, you're the sky. Maybe you are the cloud, but that's not all you are. And yeah, and sometimes like you can appreciate a little rain. You know what I'm saying? Like it's doesn't mean you
yeah,
have to identify with the cloud or whatever, but you just have to like somehow like not push away, you know, yourself because there's a cloud on top of you, you know? Or like
that's true.
be like rude
Yeah,
against
yeah, yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, you know, like a lot of challenges always met challenges. No, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, like the rain happens for everybody, and it's all about accepting it
Mhm.
and being there for it and seeing it through and repairing.
Right. Yeah, 'cause
Things always happen.
mhm.
Things always happen, and it's like I've learned to be there, not to escape, be there for people, and if and after all the craziness, make sure that you repair, you know, that it's, you know, that you have the conversation so there's nothing left open and unknown, you know, uncommunicated about or anything like that. Um, but yeah, like you know, like when we see other people's rain clouds as well, you know, we can accept theirs and we can assist if they need assistance or if they welcome it as well or if they think that it will help. Um, but you know, projecting that light, you know, like Teak Nhat Hanh of that gentle, soft, feathery light that comes through the trees, you know, like
Right.
you can just you set the model, you know. It's like everybody's a student, everybody's a teacher, but
Mhm.
and you just kind of radiate out. It's difficult to radiate out exactly your ultimate self. It takes a lot of work, you know, because my natural instincts and impulses are not what I would wish ultimately sometimes. So they're a little bit too blunt or absurd sometimes.
Facts.
Sometimes the things that I say are too deep. Sometimes it should
Yeah.
just be more like just more basic, more like human,
Oh,
you know?
yeah. I feel
But
that heavy.
um yeah, I'm so I'm stuck in the quantum wormhole at all times. But sometimes it's better to just deflex your groundedness and space too, you know, like not thinking that you need to say or explain anything that provides knowledge in a conversation. You could just listen and
Yeah.
ask about it and accept that you don't know anything. You feel like you know you feel like everybody feels so like they've learned so much until they go to their family's Thanksgiving dinner. And then you realize you don't know shit.
Right, if you
Um,
think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. You just, you know, to get the real
Uh,
groundedness, you know, of what is important. The most important things are the things that everybody says, which is family and relationships, deep friendships, long lasting friendships and relationships that are positive, that you could rely on each other forever. And you could just think about that person after 15 years and be like, I fucking love that guy because he's always been there for me. You know, like that is the most important. But that takes the most work, the most investment than anything, more than any actual work or any creative practice at all is
mhm,
relationships. Like
mhm.
putting the time and the investment
So true.
in into your friends and those people. There's nothing more important than those, the communities and the our
Yeah.
relationships with each other. Um, you know, and like that being said, it's also great to practice autonomy and working, not relying on everybody. But
Mhm.
like I don't
Right.
like to ask for help. I'm very only child syndrome where I'm just always doing my thing. But it is
Mhm.
absolutely invaluable to have those long term resonances and relationships you'll save each other's life. You'll heal each other through all your issues, and have and all party together. What's better, what's better than that?
Yeah, and it almost feels like these are the people who we hang out with regularly, our community, whatever. If um we are all vibrating at different frequencies and we are sound and we are love, then whenever we are interacting with anyone, we are at all times putting out a song. At all times we're vibrating. We have to be singing something in order to exist in this reality. Fortunately, unfortunately, but you can either walk around all day singing two microtones down than everybody else, and you ask yourself, why the fuck is everybody an asshole? It's like drive like an asshole day or something. Like, why is everybody out of tune? And like, why is everybody singing two microtones pitch up? And
Yeah,
yeah. I don't.
yeah. No, we're
Whenever you
all
change it, you can party in the same song.
no, but we're all making music. It's like exactly what you said. Like how you know how we feel. It's really amazing how we can see how we trace back our relationships with our life and see the musical intervals, and it's just amazing what you find out with the repeated issues and beautiful things that
Mhm.
happen in relationships. It's unbelievable. And yeah, every person, we're just making a song, we're making a chord with them, even a stranger, we're just making a chord, and we're just
Mhm.
having a little moment based where that is the emotion of that chord, and there's a million different variations of that, and the tone is the mood is it's the mood that you're in, the tone of the sound. So with a half step,
Mm.
like you could be 1 month apart from somebody, it's always foreboding and dissonant. But if it's really light, like da-da, da-da, really quiet and gentle, it can actually be just a little foreboding and spooky and not super dissonant. So there's hacks.
Mhm.
It's our mood. If we stay light, with certain people, we want to stay more serious. Like people born a month below us, we're always going to be talking about responsible, rational things. We're going to be more likely to be the leader. It's going to be harder for us to be funny around people born below us. They're the funny ones because it's harder for us to be irrational for people born right below us because it's a little dissonant, or they might not like it. They might not like your humor. They like your responsibilities. So um, it's just these roles we play.
Mm.
It's it's incredible. And I got into a little fender bender like a year ago, and I looked at his ID, and it was my fault. It was completely my fault because I made the wrong decision, and I just pulled out from a spot a little
Mhm.
bit too quick, and I just slightly nicked this guy.
Mhm.
I looked at his ID. He was born 2 weeks below me. So when I'm irrational, it's extremely dissonant. When he's the brute, when I'm making a shitty decision
Wow.
or when I'm doing something incorrect, it's going to be very dissonant for him. And that is exactly what happened. We got into a fender bender, and and it's just weird. Like, I mean, any chord can make anything happen, and you don't just get into fender benders with people born a month next to you or whatever. But it's like things are more likely to happen sometimes, or certain qualities are more likely to happen with those frequencies that you can expect. And yeah, but check out the app. I'll send it to you. Musical astrology. I'll send you the link. It's out, and I'm working on the illustrations now, like this week, to try to like
Wow.
there to try to debut it. Because I still haven't debuted it because I haven't finished all of the educational diagrams yet. But
Maybe
I've been
Dennis
working.
Ham can also like help you with something as
I
well.
really need help with the diagrams. I think that he can really help, but I would love to give him feedback on the website, on his
Yeah,
app
I'll
as well.
send that to you. I'll also send the Instagram video of Leia and Luke's
Oh,
theme or
yeah,
whatever.
that's amazing. Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just also wanted to say one last quick thing that it almost feels like when we're interacting with other people with music, like in sounds, like what? Like better word for like God is sound. Like literally in the Bible, the first thing that says is in the beginning was the
With
word.
the word, yeah, and the
And
word was made flesh.
yeah,
The
exactly.
sound was turned into matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like for a lot of times, like for stand-up comedy, or even for when you go perform, you feel like you're interacting with like a crowd, you know what I'm saying? And everybody is looking at you. But like when I'm watching you play, dude, it really feels like you're connecting with something else, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not really connecting with a person here, but you're connecting with like with
I'm
sound.
very concentrated, I'll tell you that. I'm really just trying to multitask, and to do it. I'm trying to just not mess up, and, and that's so I'm very
Yeah.
I have to be very concentrated. I don't ever write something because it's gonna be played live, I just make it, so usually it's hard for me to play it live,
Yeah, I mean, you're talking to the divine, man.
no, I just think I'm really in the zone. I'm just really trying to concentrate. But there are certain like there's music out there and certain intervals and contrasts and chord changes that have given me a divine feeling inside,
The
like my
roots.
spine filling up with goosebumps.
Oh
And I'm just like,
yeah.
what is that? I'm like, what is that chord change? I need to know. Like, and I try to reverse engineer what makes gives me those feelings. I try to create new combinations of it in my music to try to still contain those feelings in it. Um, but
I
I
think that's
love those.
cerebral spinal fluid, man.
I've had some spinal feelings, man. It's really interesting. Spinal Williams. That should be the next one, you know?
But dude, the flow of cerebral spinal fluid from your brain to your spinal is insane. Like many like occultists and Gnostics have compared it to like the reincarnation process and like coming down to the earth and like coming back up to the brain, and like the things that are going on biologically are insane.
It's
Like
it's
with the spine.
oh my god. The whole system is
Yeah.
I mean, and not even just that's just biologically. And then you could talk intangibly, invisibly. There's a whole other structure
Mhm.
that's going on that is so incredibly advanced
And
and
humans are like
geometric.
right in the middle.
Yeah, yeah, and our size too is right in between like the galactic and the quantum. The microtubules, which is our red blood cells, are actually the perfect in between of size of the whole universe and a Planck length, which is the smallest quantum distance that we know. So
Oh
yeah,
my
we are kind of
gosh.
right in between.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and honestly, every single moment is something brand new. Not only are you existing in between, but you are creating something in between. You know, that's what's in between. I feel like the ability to create and
Yeah.
manifest a brand new version of yourself. That's like where we're stuck in, I feel like, you know? We're existing
Yeah,
here.
like people have said, I heard it on the radio the other day that like there's nothing new under the sun. I firmly disagree. I think every moment is something new under the sun.
Mhm.
And every day there's new music that's never ever been made before. That's never ever existed. So it's just there's always new. Every step is a slightly new shape. It's not ever exactly the same. So you might think it might seem, but in actuality, in its details, it's nothing. It actually perfectly repeats itself, which is great. Um, but like we have continuity, but we have a little bit of shakeup, which is great. It would otherwise be super boring. So, yeah,
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting how we try to do that and yet we don't even know where we go for half of the day. Like it's such a challenge to be a human. Half of the day we're gone in another dimension which we have no control over when we're asleep. Or when we lose our keys,
yeah,
half the time we're not even here. And yet we try to control this dream, this reality that we're in. And yeah, it's not easy sometimes.
yeah. It's I can't believe that. Yes, 4 billion people are asleep or something right now.
Yeah,
They're
they
just
have to
having
be.
big.
Animals.
They're just in like some zone, like some astral zone in this intangible mental space that
Yeah.
is just so many of them though, 4 billion, that's so many intangible mental spaces that of dreamlands that they're in. Like, it's I have shared dreams with somebody on the same night where we had the exact same dream and we were doing the exact same things and we were with each other. And
Wow.
I don't know how that's possible. One time I was when you sleep in a bed with somebody for a long time, it can start to happen. I slept in a bed with my best friend Craig from the Emerald Isle for like a year or something. Not a year straight, but like we slept in the same bed for a very long time. And after a while, one morning, I woke up. I said, I just had a dream where we were flying a helicopter through a canyon. And he said, "Oh my god, I had the same dream, and you were flying." And I said, "Yeah, I was flying the
Bro.
helicopter." And we were in the same place, which is Bridal Veil Falls, in between Provo and Midway, Utah, where kind of near where we used to live. We had the exact everything was the same. We were finishing each other's sentences. It proved to me that a dream space can be shared. Like,
Mhm.
I never thought before that they actually could be, but that was some real evidence that they can
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, and
So,
you know what else is something that scientists are exploring right now that seems to be shared as well? The DMT space. They're exploring that if they're doing a test where they give people the same dosage and they actually managed to find a way to extend it up to like an hour or something to be in the DMT space. And they're starting to notice that like they're just trying to see if they can write down like a language that they see or if this is like a place that we can go to and stuff like that.
oh
That's
yeah, there's Hebrew there,
yeah.
definitely. A lot of
Mhm.
people have seen Hebrew characters,
Yeah.
Aramaic, ancient Sanskrit and stuff. But
Right.
yeah, an ayahuasca
Yeah.
shaman from his Bay, Brazil, said that he's seen Hebrew on tiles. He's been on ayahuasca since he was born. He's part of an ayahuasca tribe. He said that he's tiles of Hebrew that overlay the physical world around him. And he's like, "Wow, can you tell me the secrets of Judaism?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. That's you tell me. That's amazing." um, but yeah, I think that there's definitely a language to be found in there, and there's definitely shapes and objects and things that repeat themselves that people can mutually experience. Um, I think that that is the space that connects things that we're kind of going to that space of the wormholes of the
Mm.
where the black holes they go to infinite, they go to an infinite density,
Do you
and
think
then
we're
it
from that
folds.
space?
Yeah, because it can fold out into a new space, and that
Um,
and that it could be closer than air. It's all around us. And I feel like yeah, I don't know about it's definitely not tangible. I think that it's another intangible dimension in space, and there's many of them. There's not just one.
ooh,
Um, but I think that
right.
y- our perception is the thing that changes it and filters it, because what we're actually experiencing is something outside of our perception, outside of our vision, outside of our experience. So however we see it, that's going to be kind of irrelevant. It's actually it has a form in of itself, but it's really
Mhm.
interesting. I actually did DMT for the first time a year ago, and that was the only time I did it.
Did you
And
break through?
no, I don't think so.
Ooh,
I
okay.
I I
It's
took
terrifying, right?
It's not terrifying. I
Yeah.
was terrified forever. That's why I didn't wanna do it.
Like, it's
But no, I
terrifying to break through, right? Like, because 'cause you're supposed to take, like, 3 big hits.
well, I took like 10, but
But
I think that, like, I was kinda, like, not they weren't very big because I was kind of, like,
yeah,
didn't
right. I think they have
it.
to be, like, back to back and, like, weird shit.
I did it back to back. I did, like, 10 hits back to I didn't use a bong, but, like,
And you don't think
I
you
used
broke
my
through?
no, I didn't, but I saw things, but I didn't break through. Yeah, it was I I was terrified beforehand of ever doing DMT because I get motion sickness and I get kind of fear of heights.
Um,
So I thought that maybe I would feel dissociated, and that's not the kind of feeling I like. But no, when you do it, you start to feel so much love and appreciation immediately. And every breath you take is like more and more of a gift. It's like, oh, like just the ability to breathe air is like magic. It's like a gift just to be alive.
mm. Yeah.
Every breath is like you exhale like so much appreciation, and it feels so comforting, so warm, actually. It's incredible.
Right. Yeah.
And then and you I just wanted to close my eyes and put something over my eyes. I don't know
Mhm.
why I did that,
I
but
don't
the
think you
moment
can, like, keep your eyes open in a DMT trip, dude. Like, I think it's like your whole body just kind of, like, gives out, supposedly.
well, I opened my eyes,
Mhm.
but like, you wanna close your eyes.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
you just
because
wanna
because when you open
like
your eyes, you see, like, the materialistic world which your nervous system tries to materialize, and I think you start getting, like, psychedelic visuals, kinda like high LSD dosages or psilocybin. But I think when
yeah,
you close your eyes, you go into yourself, into a completely non-materialistic realm where you go into that world, right? That world where, like, many people go into, or
it
space.
was yeah, it's like I've listened to so many descriptions of it and, never thought that I would see this, but I mean, I saw a lot. Most of it I can't describe, but the beginning, I firmly remember the beginning, right when I put a blanket over my eyes.
Mm.
I saw this liquid moving right to left like this lava, this thermoflu electric lava liquid, and it had eyes in it that were moving,
Oh,
and they were like looking at me, and being
yeah,
like, "You can see me?" And I was like,
right,
"I guess." Oh my god. And,
right.
um, and it was this electric liquid, um, and then 10 minutes happened where I have no idea how to even put that into words. I I'm great at putting things into words, but it is so beyond that I can't. It's also dark. It wasn't
It's
visual.
so
It
hard.
wasn't light. It was
You're
like
you're great at doing it through your music videos and your art, man. If I've ever seen anything close to what you're talking about, it's your music videos, my guy.
I didn't see that though. It when
Oh, okay.
I
Right, right, right.
or I it wasn't or like it wasn't even what I saw in that period was it was like it's not even light. It wasn't even visual forms. I didn't see any visual things. It was
Mm,
just like pure unadulterated mystery that I was experiencing, and it's just like this void
wow,
of a galaxy void,
yeah.
but it was incredible, and then the person that was leading me through it started singing this microtonal melody, and instantly I saw all these huge blue columns, rows of blue columns, like Egyptian blue columns that went forever. And
Wow.
and then there were these crazy dramatic shadows. I'll never forget them. The shadows looked absolutely real, like light was pouring in, and there was a robed figure moving between the columns. And then all of the columns turned into thin trees in a jungle rainforest. And
Wow.
I could hear somebody in the distance trying to hunt something. I could hear somebody going, "Woo-hoo, woo-hoo," in the distance, and
Wow.
I could hear bones crackling on their medallions, little trinkets that
Oh,
they were wearing that was making noises, and they were doing a hunting call, and I could hear it in the distance, and I didn't feel the slightest bit scared whatsoever. I was like, "This is
wow.
unbelievable." I'm like, "I am in a jungle hearing, like, some kind of person, like an ancient person this is completely not I'm in another world right now." And so that was remarkable, I gotta say. I never thought something like that would happen,
Yeah.
but it was very organic. I was in a rainforest at the end. It was beautiful. Yeah, that's what I like,
Yeah.
I I like the nature stuff, so
There
that's
there there's also, like, a clear head, like, a post clear head afterwards, like a high, that afterwards you're supposed to feel, like, clear, like, super clear-headed and, like, because the trip is supposed to be, like, relatively short, like, 15
Yep,
minutes.
yeah, 10, 12 minutes. Yeah, yeah, you feel very appreciative afterwards and just
Insane.
if there's no come down or anything.
Right.
You feel a
Just
little bit
back in your
loose.
reality.
Yeah, like you definitely want to sit there for a little bit longer maybe, but yeah, yeah, I mean it's just an inherent thing. I think that it's a very similar experience when we're born and when we die is that kind of,
Ooh.
it's that's the chemical that's released in our pineal gland. So I think that that's kind of the transitional
Right.
simulation that we experience. But it's good to have these initiations, we can like an initiation is rebirth, is pretending being born again even though you're still alive and you haven't died. So that's what these experiences are, is they're kind of like initiating us into appreciating life, and sometimes it can be scared. I mean, it sounds
Mm.
born. Any initiation in the past history was scary actually. So it's
I have
yeah.
this book that The Psychedelic Experience, a direct translation from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, written by Timothy Leary and uh, Richard Alpert, which is Ram Dass. This
Nice.
is a psychedelic manual that walks you through normal psilocybin or psychedelic trip. But the way they do it is literally through a direct translation of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which is what they read to Tibetan monks as they're dying. They hold it and they read this to help them go through all the bardos and get them into the next reincarnation or not reincarnate at all. And that is like so crazy
Yeah.
that these two experiences are, just wrapped around each other.
Yeah, I actually read something recently about the author of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I'm spacing on his name right now. I knew his name like a couple weeks ago,
Oh,
but
sick.
he
I don't even know that.
he it wasn't the author. He was the translator. It was
Oh,
only translated into English recently, like in the 60s or something, or the
yeah.
50s. So not a lot of people in the West read the Tibetan Book of the Dead except for the past, 6 or 7 decades, and you've seen it really take off. But this translator who first translated it to English, he's a really interesting figure that did, I think he did the foreword and the autobiography of a yogi by Yogananda.
Ooh,
And he's just kind of like a mystic translator.
cool.
And that original translation from him of the Tibetan Book of the Dead is the best and most accurate, supposedly, of the original.
Ooh.
Because there's a lot of different translations now, but that
Right.
original author, again, can't remember his name, but you'll find it if you Google it. And yeah, those very similar to a lot of the other ancients, like the Egyptians and the Assyrians. They had
Can I
very
show you
similar.
something real quick? Just super fast. Let me go grab something real quick. Yeah. So I recently went to Egypt
Wow,
and they make these scrolls out of plants.
papyrus.
Yeah. And I bought one and it is the trip. I forget the name of it, but it is. Oh, I think it's the coronization of the king or something. But I got this little scroll right here.
Whoa,
And
that's so
this is my name in Egyptian hieroglyphs.
wow, that's so cool. How'd they
Hmm.
just make that for you right there?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was like they had a little alphabet chart behind them, and they were like, "Oh, that's E, that's R."
That's
And
so cool.
I love when I went to the museums in Egypt. They had a bunch of these scrolls, very long, that had journeys to other worlds. And that's the whole idea of the pyramids. They built them as a tomb to the gods, so that when they would die, they would king because they make deals with these gods, and they have all of these like recorded papers of them taking trips to like these other world places, and uh, there's so much involved in their perception of death, and like they build pyramids just to get themselves buried. So
Well, I actually beg to differ that the ancient Egyptians did not build those pyramids. But I I also don't think that they were tombs either. There was no tomb ever found in a pyramid. But the Egyptian tombs though are mind-blowing. Like the tombs, the temples that they've made to honor their pharaohs and everything. yeah, I mean, it's like they're sending them off, through these specific gateways, these cemeteries, they call the halls of Ma'at, which is the halls of eternity. All the columns. The Egyptians made their temples to look like this DMT space in between life and death, which is all these columns. It's a
Mm.
library of infinity of time and space. So it's all these columns and all these passageways to all directions, all spaces and times. And at the different gateways, you're met with different beings,
Different animals too.
different animals, which I really feel like there are these overlord spirits that are animal in nature that control certain months of the year and certain qualities.
Uh,
Like, for instance, February, there's an owl for sure that is the garter of February people. That is the animal of February. Other months are open for debate, but for me, February, there's an owl being that is definitely creating February people. Um, and
that's
it's
crazy.
You know, I think that there is some it's a it, there is it's an interesting thought to think of these higher dimensional intelligences being, these hybrid animal beings that create, you know, uh, create human experiments, and try to uplift us, maybe possibly as well, or try to illumine certain things to us, slowly or over time. But I've had these really weird experiences with that kind of animal spirit pantheon because I see it in people.
Interesting.
I see it in others. I'll be like, you have parts of these animals within you that are like, they're like they're like floating spirits. They're like out there, but they can feed into us and they're a part of us. Um, I've had many people say that they've seen Bast, the Egyptian cat god, in higher states of consciousness appear around them. She's the goddess of fragrance, dance, and song. So a lot of musicians have seen Bast, which is like maybe it's like an intelligence out there, possibly, or it's just us trying to personify this intangible intelligence. That doesn't have to have a form, but it's out there.
This is the one that I see. I see an elephant.
Oh wow.
So after I saw this elephant, I got Ganesh, and I love Ganesh. It just resonated with me so much. I had to get a statue, man. I pray to it. I just be like, Ganesh, remove this obstacle for me. And for no reason, I just saw an elephant, and I was like, these elephants are my parents. Like it was insane.
So you really resonate with the elephant spirit.
Yeah, like
That's
I had no idea who Ganesh was, dude. I was like, elephant god, that's me.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. So you really connect with that guy. Yeah. See, like he might be like if it exists, they might be just aspects of us, and some of us have more aspects of certain
Oh,
gods than others. They're like part of our whole complex makeup. Um, but I wonder what he guards, because every god has a month that's assigned in Vedic astrology.
mm,
Wonder what month that he's assigned to.
yeah.
But I've associated a lot of Libras like you with leopards, with cats,
Oh, wow.
cheetahs, and leopards, and panthers, and
I was a leopard for my like childhood musical or some shit, and I built like the most beautiful leopard in the world, and I kept it for years in my closet after I
yes,
moved.
yes.
I've
See,
always had that like beautiful jaguar. It was a jaguar, I think.
jaguar.
Yeah.
See, jaguar is even a better way to describe a Libra, because I've just noticed certain things. Like Libras, I've seen I could think off the top of my head like 10 Libras I know that wear leopard print all the time. And I'm like, why? Is it just me that is experiencing this? Or like, but I asked them, like, do you like leopards? They're like, yeah, I really like cats. I really like leopards. They're really into cats and
Mhm.
leopards. And you have a cat-like efficiency where you're
Yep.
quick and you're cunning, smart, and
I
you're cool.
their ways, they know something, dude. They're not just chilling here. Like,
Yeah, no, they know some shit, and you also have that. I feel like Libras, the October people have leopard spirit. You won't read that anywhere. I've just noticed it. I'm like, why are these
Mhm.
all these Libras in my life? Not only are they wearing leopard print, but they look like they look like cats or leopards to me. Some of them have freckles, these beautiful freckles on their face, like a cat would.
Oh, yeah.
Hair, there's something about like the hair too. It just looks more like a cat's hair to me. And it's just like it's interesting how the physical things can come as a result of those blueprint qualities of some kind of animal, blueprint or something. I'm not really sure how it works. These are the kind of things that I think about a lot, though.
Yeah.
But
Dude, I mean,
yeah,
here's one theory. We are walking modular synthesizers that at all times are um, transmuting energy, you know? And yeah, I think we like connect with each other in these ways that we don't even know sometimes. We're
well, yeah,
communicating.
like quantum synth is making all this electricity happen, but it's up to you to put that into a system to actually make the sound occur. But
Right.
anyway, it's always just going in there. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Like if you break the modular synthesizer, nothing happens to the signal that the actual like you that all the synthesizer is doing is tuning into something that's out there. It's like really not has much to do with the actual instrument, but rather kind of what's going on around it and kind of like a radio station. If you know there's a walking around, someone is playing, there's a big difference between like listening to the Beatles and believing that you're the Beatles just because you're playing the Beatles the song, you know?
Yeah.
Just because you break the radio, nothing happens to the signal. And I think these signals are constantly coming in and out, and it doesn't have to be through words like you say, it can be through silence, through emptiness.
No, we're definitely sending signals. And I think that we are experiencing consciousness like a radio as well, is that it's coming through the filter of our soul, of all the animals and the tones and the qualities, our whole birth chart of all of our planets make a big chord, this whole complex
Um,
mood of our whole being. And then all the planets and the animals and the higher dimensional beings, they're all being filtered through all of that. And then it comes out as us, but like all of that is just latent potential energy.
right,
But we're actually, yeah, we're bringing it into form, and
right.
we're receiving it. But it's within, it's not coming from out there.
Yeah.
It's with us.
Yeah, like this is just me. This is just a bag that is trying to conceal as long as possible the little bit of energy that has inside of it before it dies, it decomposes. It's literally dying by itself at all
Yeah,
times.
I think how spirit connects to matter it's just
Mhm.
a profound mystery. Because like,
Yeah.
when does it happen? Does it happen right when pregnancy, right at conception? Does it happen when the fetus
Mhm.
is 6 weeks?
Right.
Is it
I ask
always
myself that all
there?
the time. I ask myself, do I remember a time where I just became like, boom, now I am Eric, now I am here? Like,
Yeah,
because I don't know. I ask myself that question. I honestly don't know if I had a moment where it was always like that, and my memory doesn't remember it or something like that.
yeah, it's but we were always, like before we were born too,
Right.
where we can't remember it because then we wouldn't learn. We have to start over to learn the lessons again,
We're
you
in
know,
school.
or
You got
to
to take the
uh,
curriculum.
exactly. You have to have some blindedness just to follow the curriculum like that. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because if you just reflect back on all of this, then you're not going to be focusing on what's now. And there's just how it works energetically. The universe figured it out that if you don't know your past life, you become a better person in this life. So,
Because you uh, if you could remember your past life, you wouldn't need to go to a school.
exactly, because you could just deconstruct that knowledge,
Yeah.
and then you would, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all about what you do with that, how you behave and how you act from there on. But The mystery is integral to understanding. Is that you have to be cut off from knowledge to gain it. So you cannot have the knowledge of your past. You must just create your future, Like
Mhm,
and sometimes when we don't know what we're doing, that's when the universe is acting through us.
mhm.
Like we don't know, like when we're driving automatically, that could be the universe taking like hold of us a little bit and acting through us. It might not
Mhm.
be all the time.
Right.
I I think that there's levels of it. I think it's always
Yeah,
happening, but there are levels of attunement that we can
yeah.
get with it. We could be being like, no, I don't want to do what the universe is trying to get me to do. You're just trying to escape from it, but you're just going to keep getting punished back into the same position until you learn those lessons.
Right.
Um,
That's so
so,
true, man.
yeah,
Recently, I've had to learn that, but it's so cool when you realize, like, all the things that you've learned because of those
yeah,
things.
I know. And then like putting them into practice, and like being able to like,
Yeah.
okay, like I'm not going to say something super blunt and crazy right now. I'm going to try to say
Right.
that's more
Yeah.
people, like Teak Nhat
Yeah.
Han. But
Actually,
yeah,
right before we called, I decided I've been messing around with the guitar a lot recently. I'm usually a keyboard player, but I've always had this guitar and I've been recently playing it. And usually I'm very like, I gotta read the chord, I gotta look up the chord sheets, but I've never tried to play along to your songs. And the program that I have didn't really have all of your great songs and chart sheets, unfortunately. I don't know why that technology doesn't exist. I'm sure it does, that it can just transcribe the chord sheets to lifetime. Boy, I was like, I'm just gonna put the guitar on. I know no theory, and I'm just gonna I put AirPods in, I put my amp AirPods on, and I would lay down my beanbag and I was just like freestyling, dude. I had no idea. I even closed my eyes and I was just moving my hand and it sounded so good, man. Like way better than if I was just playing chords, you
oh
know?
yeah, man, you just play and just listen, play and
Yeah.
listen. That's my biggest advice to everybody is just play and listen. Don't think about the music theory. Don't think about what chords. You don't even have to know what chords you're playing or what chords you should be playing or what key the song is in. Doesn't matter. Just play, listen. What sounds good? What works? What sounds good? You just find it. You move it around,
Mhm,
trial and error. That's how I do it. Trial and error. Just finding it. I don't think
mhm.
rationally whatsoever with music. I have no idea what note I'm playing. I have no idea the chords.
Mind
I mean,
blown.
I know major seventh chord, blah blah blah, but like I don't know what actual chord that is. Like is that a C or a B or a F chord? I have no idea. I don't know.
Wow.
I just listen and I'm just trying to make the sound that my ear hears, and that's it. I'm not thinking music theory, chords, not thinking about anything. I'm like, oh, this needs the ninth there. Like, no, I don't. It's just sound. And yeah, just picking up the instrument and just playing it and listening and just seeing where it wants to be played, where it wants to go, what you could do with it. That's the ultimate. Like it is hard to learn songs without guidance like that. Like to hear those exact chords that they're playing, the voicings, but it's really fun to try to figure it out. I've been doing it a lot lately, trying to figure out like how the fuck did they play that guitar part? I'm like, it's like impossible, some of them,
Yep,
like
that's
trying
what
to
I
figure.
found.
But it's the best thing to do is to learn other people's music. It's taught me so much, especially recently, like just about how things can work musically together really well, but really simply. That's really great to hear that you tried jamming along to it. That makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean, I tried, but it I've also heard of trying to recreate other people's music, like, try to go in Logic and try to create the same exact song, your favorite
Yeah,
song, to your best of your abilities.
no, I do that all the time. That is
Really?
what I do because
Whoa.
I'll listen. I'll get obsessed with the song, and I'll be like, I'll obsessed with how it sounds, the recording quality of it, and the composition, and I'll be like, I want to just do that. So I'll try. I try to make that song. I'll try to listen to it. I'll try to create the same tones and sounds of it, and try to, like just try to get there. And I'll A B it a bunch. Be like, does it sound like it? Does it sound like? Do the drums sound like it, or
Right.
does it sound super different? And I just keep A Bing it until I get it to where I closer to where I want it to be. And yeah, that's it's super fun to try to create a song that's out there and try to get it to sound just like it, you know? It's not that hard. You can hear if you record music enough, you can start to hear how it was done. You know, like
Mhm.
it's not extremely easy to execute that sometimes, but like it's a fun challenge to try to do it. And it's probably the best thing you could do to try to get better at music. I feel like is try to record other people's songs like verbatim. You know, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
I was in a classical music class in college, and for our final, we had to learn a classical song. And I'm not classical trained, and I took this class to get classically trained, and it was exactly that. It was like, okay, so there's this classical piece on YouTube of this guy playing the song. I have to make it sound as closely as possible to him. And it would be weird when I would start hearing his breathing in the song. And I'd be like, holy shit, has that been here the whole time? Like
Mm.
just the
You
breathing in the
really
microphone
all the way
on the
down. You heard
piano.
every detail.
And I was
Yeah,
like, holy shit, that is so different. As much as I try, I'm never gonna be able to breathe exactly like him or like stuff like that.
that's true.
But
Yeah,
I
and
think in those spaces you find the things that make you unique because you start hearing the things that make them unique. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, I can't replicate that. But nobody could probably replicate mine either,
right.
which is the like what people like, I think.
You can use it as a template though, you know, if you really like somebody's sound, you can try to recreate it and you can probably get really close. And then you learn so much about
Mm.
like how to get there that you can use that template, that idea of like
Right.
all instrumentation of how those instruments work well in that other song and you can use that for your new song. And just elements that seem to fit together, you know,
Mhm.
and workflows that seem to fit. Like doing drums first or rhythm first seems to be like that always works for me because whenever I try to do rhythm after I've done the melodic stuff, it doesn't. It's harder for it to line up. It doesn't really line up. It doesn't feel as good. But even if the drums are not done perfectly, if
Mm.
everything's recorded on top of the drums after, it makes them sound better than they were because everything just kind of like rhythmically lines up to that. But yeah, just certain things that just expectable template things that just like you could find expectable results that make it easier every time. And but yeah, I love the challenge of trying to make ancient music, like trying to make a song from
Ooh.
mid 60s or the late 50s, trying to get that recording quality of it. You know, it's really hi-fi. Like we can't even create music as hi-fi as like some of the late 60s music. There's no noise. It sounds
Oh,
absolutely flawless.
right.
Triste Janeiro, that album is a 60s group from Dallas, Texas. That is
Oh,
like the peak
cool.
of recording quality, I feel like right there. It's just the mix, it's there's not much going on, but the mix is just the low end sounds like a sub kick from 2023. It's 1969. Like it's incredible sounding, and like you just can't get much more hi-fi than that. And I feel like recording technology peaked so long ago,
Mhm.
but we can get to a new peak by using tactility, using real textures like that were done then, but using our new technology to do it better, and be able to, mess with it more. The thing is that they didn't have all of our flexibility tools that we have now, so they just had to get it. They had to
Yeah.
get it in the moment. And I think that's why I've been trying to do more analog stuff is just to trying to get a fully analog sound in the moment, no plugins,
Mm.
really hear just or just how I just really like how music used to sound, especially Brazilian music, how it's mixed and like Joao Denoto, like Lugar Kamam, you listen to that mix of that album, it's like it's unreal how amazing everything fits together and the frequencies, such extreme frequencies, high end and low end and everything. It's just incredible, but nothing harsh. Um, but that's one of the best mix albums I've ever heard is Lugar Kamam by Joao Denoto. It's just like wow, it's just a masterpiece of sonic masterpiece, that album. But I've just been really obsessed with those kind of older sounds that just like they breathe so much and they're not completely redlined, and I'm trying to become more like more breath. more breathing in the music, you know, just less modern kind of production. But I always learn more about that. All- every time I make a song, basically, it's just learning more. But yeah, but this is the first time I've ever done a fully 100% analog, reel to reel tape recording recently. So I've done that on cassette, but not on this reel to reel yet. So I mean,
Wow.
I did it. I did it yesterday for the first time ever, fully analog. Just bounced it to cassette, and then that was it. And then that was the full recording. And so I'm going to try doing it more. It works. So it's a bit difficult. I have to patch into this board. I have to patch in like I patched in this compressor pedal to one of
Whoa.
the channels, and I also patched in like another like this EQ um to the
Cool.
which is a it's and so I patched in some things, just taking out a little bit of taking out just the frequencies that I would digitally, same kind of thing that I expect, and I did it all analog and just a couple patches, all an 8 channel board, 8 channel reel to reel. I was able to make like a pretty dang good sound. It's challenge. It's like the first time. It's the first time for me doing it fully analog, so it was a bit challenging to make as hi-fi as a sound as I want, and doing it in other ways. But I'm just gonna get better at it. But it's very fun. I really like playing something all the way through as well, like not just recording the whole take, and not sampling it.
Wow.
I don't loop anything. I don't sample anything. I just play. Everything's played. Everything is just
Wow.
performed.
That's funny you
So
say that because I feel like with Logic, it's really easy to play one measure and just
it is, but the
drag it
looper also
out.
it kind of there's something weird with the looper at Logic sometimes. Like, and I don't ever loop in Logic. I just play it
Wow.
way through.
That is
And
so sick.
I never copy and paste either.
Wow. Do you
And
ever take out notes, like wrong notes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, I
Okay.
edit.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
edit.
okay.
Fuck yeah. I mean,
Okay.
usually I just play it right, but like
Yeah.
if there's one note that I just could not sing right
Yeah.
or I didn't hear it when I did it, that is very off. Sometimes I'll just leave it. It's really if it's not too bad, but if it makes me cringe,
Right.
I'll just separate that one note and edit it or pitch correct just like one single note or whatever is needed or and I'll edit the drums sometimes and edit the guitars so that they're rhythmically more a little bit together. But yeah, like I just don't like. I just like to play it all the way through. And the tape is great for me because I just get to do that, and I have to do it. I don't have a punch in. There's supposed to be a punch in like foot switch. I don't have one, so um, I just got to do it all the way through. And it's. I gotta say the sounds for guitar on the tape machine. Holy shit! What it does to guitar, it it makes it sound so much better. Like
Oh my gosh.
I expected the drums to sound amazing, but they didn't sound as I had to work really hard to make them sound kind of like they sounded good, but not as good as when I can do it digitally and use cassette. But yeah, like even patching stuff, using double EQ and all this stuff, and like still a bit challenging. But if I had a couple more parametric EQs, maybe I could do it. But it's interesting to try. It's you really get that textural sound with guitars though. Like I'm just peaking it. I'm peaking redlining the tape machine. And with the guitar, it starts to get really unstable, and starts to make all these
Yeah.
really crazy sounds that did not happen when you recorded it. You listen back and you're like, "Oh my God, what are those sounds?
Whoa. Yeah.
Holy moly!" It's like when you listen to tape, it's like so much better
Wow.
than what you did. It's like
Yeah.
amazing.
That's
But
true.
it's oh
Yeah,
yeah,
go
go
ahead,
for it.
go. I was just gonna say that I have recorded on cassette before, and sometimes it'll mess up because we have one recording, so we'll be like, okay, we're gonna roll it back and record on top of it, and sometimes you don't do it right, so you'll have half a song here, half a song there, but it merges in the coolest way, or you'll hear like sounds when it messes up. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I love it.
I always make sure to keep at least one flaw for every song.
Oh,
Every
that
song,
is so cool.
it has to have one flaw.
So sick.
If there's no flaws, I have to record something off or something. I have to make something weird, or make a noise or something weird that shouldn't be. Um,
It's
every
too
time
good.
I like mistakes. We all love mistakes in music.
I love mistakes in general.
Mistakes in general. I like it's just to be honest and transparent about our mistakes is the best thing we can do.
There's there's
So
there's a thing that forms when you form mistakes that forces you to build back up, that
yeah,
it builds back stronger than if that thing would have not the mistake never cracked it in the first place.
yeah, it's how we learn. And like sometimes a mistake in music can be the coolest thing ever. Like
Mhm.
Pat Flagel, who is the musician of Women, is a band of his and from Canada, and his new project called Cindy Lee, and he is the king of mistakes. And
Mm.
he has I've never heard more mistakes in a song ever in my life, but I've also never heard a song sound so beautiful at the same time and so amazingly mysterious and mystical. But it's so messed up and so many wrong notes, like really wrong. Like the bass really hit the wrong note, and then it corrects to the right note in the
Yeah.
song. But like that is the only way it could have been. I don't know.
Wow.
It sounds amazing like that. It doesn't matter. It's the song that matters, the vibe and everything, and the atmosphere.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. It should. I love human element, hearing the human in there, like the organic and the rustling of leaves and trees and birds. Like I don't really listen to much like electronic music, or I don't listen to much music that's like not organic. Like all. I can like modular synthesizers because it's more organic than just like digital sequenced synth music or something. But
Right.
yeah, I just love hearing just real elements and real instruments vibrating. It doesn't have to be real either, but just more of that tactile sound is what I tend to gravitate towards. But
Yeah.
um,
I think
yeah,
that's where language, I mean, music aspired from. I think if you think about the music that cavemen made, you wonder, was there music before there was language? That they communicate with sounds and beats and stuff? Because see, before humans, there were birds, and you could hear birds sing,
yeah,
and all type of water. There's water music. If you ever go to a stream and sit down and you hear like you just start hearing melody,
yeah.
like it's in nature.
Music of the water. Yeah,
Or the
yeah,
wind, like in bamboo and stuff, the wind will just sing.
yeah, yeah. And they would beat the drum is the most ancient instrument, and
Right,
the tambourine is the most ancient melodic instrument because it actually.
right,
But they would use the drum to send signals to information, and that's how they would communicate far distances with each other. And I think that's how they like communicated a lot a long time ago. It's just through rhythms and drums, and probably through little tiny bamboo flutes or little wooden flutes and
right.
stuff. That's how they communicated. And yeah, it's a rhythm. I mean, rhythm. Time is rhythm, and it's inherent to everything. So it's of course rhythm was the first thing that we started doing, and to learn the rhythm of life and everything is to get into the flow, and to so it's like I think that is how communication is, just finding the time for people and
Mhm.
everything, spending the time on people, and rhythm is just like the ultimate, it's like, yeah, it's just the most ancient form of communication that we have.
There
Uh,
was actually a period in America where they had to ban drums because that's how slaves would communicate with each other, and that's how jazz came to be from Africa.
Holy
Uh,
moly.
and then they figured it out. They're like, "These guys are starting to communicate with each other." And so they had to ban, like, drums and music, man, because they knew
Wow.
that they would plant escapes and shit.
Man, I just can't even imagine before like the year 1900 not being able to have like a drum set that
Oh.
I could, there weren't really drum sets. I mean, there were in the 1800s, maybe in the late 1800s, and then there was marching band. My great 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 grandfather was actually in the Civil War. It was a Civil War snare drum
Oh.
in the front line, and my last name Williams means shield, and he was the
Ooh.
my great William's grandpa, he was the one of the human shields of because he was playing in
Wow.
front of the North Battalion of the Civil War. And yeah, drums had more of like a utilitarian, like military purpose before. But yeah, like just what a beautiful time. It's the most accessible time to get a drum set in the whole history of the human race, and the most
Mhm.
accessible time to play drums or to be rhythmic in general. Um, every baby I've met, every 2-year-old or 3-year-old child or below that I've met is obsessed with the drums. Just is always
Me
drumming and
too. That was
always
my
want.
first instrument I learned.
Oh, sick, nice. I love how kids drum on everything. They're always in
On
rhythm mode.
everything. On pots, you just
They're obsessed
glasses.
with rhythms and just they just want to beat things. And it's just it's such a it's such an ancient. It's the most ancient motion that we have is to do
Yeah.
that. And yeah, it's just I picture it as like rhythm is like it's like rhythm, right? And then it's like it's almost like creating the track of the roller coaster, right? Where it's like the
Oh,
pylons that hold up the track, that's the rhythm, you know? It's
right. The
like
motor.
moving the track through, and that's like what's moving our track of our life is the
Right.
rhythm that it takes. So it's just
Mhm.
it's so inherent to the universe and reality, and so we're just doing it, you know?
Or
We're
like yeah, like when mothers tap the baby's back because it reminds them of the heartbeat when they were in the wound.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
totally.
what?
And
That
our
comes
hearts
from
have the rhythm. Everything's oscillating. Everything has rhythm. Everything is strobing and
Mhm.
oscillating off and on and forward and back. Um, and that's how ecosystems are like created and stuff. Is like coral reefs. The only way they're created is through a big
Oh, yeah.
water. They need to have water coming in and out, moving and moving around. They need the
Yeah.
oscillation, the undulation is what they need. Is once you have undulation, then you have feedback systems of life, basically. So
Do
you
you
know,
think you
it's
could
yeah,
there's a speed that a certain universe moves in. The Earth is spinning in certain many miles per hour.
it's
Could
around
you
1,000 miles per hour. It's spinning.
could you transform that into a tempo? So you could be
Yeah,
like, "That is awesome." Like, make a song in the tempo of the Earth or the universe.
yeah. I mean, you could do the 432, 43,200 seconds in a day. You could find the or you could find
Alright.
a portion of that in time in like a millisecond kind of thing and find the rhythm that's in proportion with the amount of seconds in a day. I wonder what that would be.
Wow.
I wonder if
That
it's 120 because that's like our heartbeat and it's the most used
whoa.
rhythm in the world, but I don't know if it would be. It probably wouldn't
That's
be exactly one.
true.
Um,
Interesting.
but I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that with simple algebra because you can do simple algebra and
That's
prove
true.
incredible things about the universe. And
That's true.
so I'm definitely gonna try to figure that out now that you've mentioned it. Maybe
Wow.
remind me into this.
Yeah, sure, I will. Let me know what you get to.
Yeah.
I would love to know that answer.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
man.
tempo, I'm gonna make sure I don't forget that.
Okay, I'll write it down, dude.
Yeah, the
Tempo of the
tempo
planet.
tempo BPM of the planet
Okay,
based on the seconds in a day. Yeah,
good.
that's good. That's really good.
Maybe you can record it on your reel to reel. Is your next album going to be on the reel to reel, you think?
Well, I don't. Okay, so I'm not sure which one is going to come next, but I'm pretty sure that the next one is going to be a cassette album. It's all on a
Wow.
Porta Studio. It's all on this. It's over here, but it's a cassette Porta Studio.
Wow.
And the whole thing was multi-tracked on it, and that's going to be the next one, I think. But I might put out some songs that are not from that series first, that are a combination of digital, cassette, and the reel to reel, that are more hi-fi, and I'm really excited about those songs. So I want to put them out. But then the Porta Studio ones, I'm also extremely excited about those two because they're so wacky and crazy, and they're so different for me in terms of quality. Like they just sound so different, so lo-fi. But I think people will like those. probably more than the hi-fi ones. But yeah, so now I'm just trying to do work on that stuff. But now I'm starting to do fully reel-to-reel recordings, and I did my first one last night, and we'll see how they turn out. It's a little bit harder to like write as I record with the reel-to-reel because that's what I do. Is I like write as I'm recording. I don't like have it all written before. I just kind of like
Wow.
little like I have a little idea, little inkling, and I just follow that inkling, and I just commit to all the decisions I make that in the moment of
Mm.
um but you just need a little spark, just a little tiny spark, something to trust too, some a good spark, something that's like a cool melody that sticks in your head, and I'm like, oh, that'll lead you through a whole song, you know. But on the tape machine, I had like a very simple idea, and I just kind of rolled with it yesterday. It was not fleshed out at all, but it turned out pretty cool. Like it's it's maybe not like as cool as like a fully. It sounds like a 1 minute long intro song or something that's like really like an instrumental song, you know. So I'm gonna be making more instrumental stuff too because people have been saying like release more instrumental music.
Wow. Here's
So
what
I've
I'm
been
thinking.
yeah.
I love the lyrics, dude. Holy shit, your lyrics, man.
Oh, thank
Like,
you.
especially like Feedback Delicates, like the whole that title, Feedback Delicates. Like, I had never even heard the word delicates, like with an S at the end before. It's
Hmm.
always delicate or something like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? So, dude, if you did like spoken poetry, I'm down. I'm there for that.
I would love to. I would love to do spoken poetry.
Both
I have a lot
ends.
of weird poetry that are not lyrics. I have a lot of just poems and weird stuff that I've written. I feel like you'd like them. But yeah, dude, that's weird. That um one time I to describe what feedback delicates what that means to me, it just makes no sense to anybody else. But like it has to one time I'm just gonna go right into it. On acid,
Okay.
one time, I saw these little delicate little pearl dewdrops that were swirling like this tiny little things, and like stucco ceilings, they have all these little shadows, and the stucco is like little tiny ridges on the ceiling that are
Oh, like
like
She-Rock.
yeah, like sheetrock.
Okay.
So on acid, all the it was harmonizing into all these patterns. And it was forming these little nodules that were twisting and turning in place, that these little pearlescent dewdrops, like a so it sounds like a Cocteau Twins song, right? Um, but I was like, "Oh, they're like little feedback delicates or something," and
Ah,
that's just what I because they were feeding back. They were
yeah,
feeding back like feedback, like delay,
yeah.
but they were delicate. So it was like, they're feedback delicates. I don't know, but I feel like t feedback delicates are little tiny, those little tiny pearlescent dewdrops that exist in some other dimension,
Wow.
but, yeah.
That's insane. I've heard those, like, visuals described before as, like, because at all times again, like, it's with simulation theory, just a thought experiment that at all times, the computer is simulating your reality, and whenever you take psychedelics, it you pay attention, like, 10 times more to something you should never be paying attention to, like She-Rock, where the computer has no reason to put that much like computer power, processing power into one little tiny piece of you know eye drops that you saw. So what you're seeing is like the universe trying, like the computer trying with the best that it can. You're seeing like the missingness of the processing power that it has. So you start, I don't know, it's just like a little theory, like that idea that what you're
Interesting,
saying is like the computer trying to, put the reality back on, but you're putting too much attention with psychedelics. You
for
are
sure. No,
flipping
definitely.
a bit.
It's like you could just see all this I was just seeing all this random shadows, but then on acid, they all turn into symmetrical patterns on the ceiling. It was like, and they were all changing, swirling around. Um, and I was like, are the rods and cones in my eyes like harmonizing right now to create symmetrical patterns?
Right.
Like, how is this occurring right now? Because it's not actually happening right there in front of me. It's happening in my own mind. Um,
Right.
but you'll notice that really weird things happen on psychedelics that would be weird even if you weren't on psychedelics. Like, why did that happen then? You know,
Right. Or even
a
with
lot of weird
weed,
things. Even with weed too.
kinda
Like one time
sometimes.
on a high dose, the highest dose of acid I ever took, which is a jelly tab. I actually saw two cats that literally had rabies. And I've never seen cats that. And when does anybody see cats with rabies? They legitimately had rabies and they had their foaming at the mouth. And I was like, oh my God. Like, cannot believe I'm seeing, like, oh my God. Like now, like, this is crazy.
Yeah, and the same thing can happen the other way around. Like, and that's like one of the problems of like smoking and like doing drugs is that you will blame certain experiences on the drug, where in reality it was just all you. Like you maybe what you were seeing was just like your human is being in love, but because you were on acid, you were like, oh, it was just acid, you know? It's just a trip.
Well, there was other people there that saw this cats on they were not on acid and they saw the cats with rabies outside. And so it wasn't just me. I thought that maybe I was having a hallucination, but it was completely real. And I was like, whoa. But yeah, it's like you lead yourself to these experiences that you need to have in those moments, you know. And so in those altered states, you need to have a full experience to really reflect on these ideas. So sometimes you get something
Exactly.
that's actually weird that is not a hallucination at all, that really
Right.
happened. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that could be mutually experienced. Multiple
Right.
people could see the same thing in altered states. On mushrooms, right, one time I saw a UFO with one other person. We saw the same thing at the same time, and it was a white light that went all the way into the horizon at thousands of miles an hour, um, and it came out of the water above the ocean. Um, and but we saw the same thing at the same moment, and it wasn't a hallucination. We mutually experienced it. So it could just slightly open up your awareness to these other fields. And if you're on the exact same dose or the exact same thing, you can mutually experience those same fields. Absolutely. And that when you mutually experience the same fields, you know they're there. I mean, you don't know, but like you know that there's something to share there. It's not just our perception, you know. There's there are things outside of our perception that exist that have qualities just like music, you know, like certain musical notes have certain emotions and they still would whether we're alive or not, you know? So they're just inherent to the universe or to our solar system at least.
Yeah. I mean, it's
So
mushrooms. Like mushrooms literally have like basically feed the whole universe with their
yeah,
pores. Like we need them.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah, that technology, you know,
yeah,
it's used.
and I also think that 50% of these trips are reflecting on it. It's like you can't just have the experience. You need to have the experience, but then also have the maturity to know how to digest it and learn from it.
That's man, yeah, because yeah, you could reflect it incorrectly maybe and misinterpret it or something, you
You're going
know?
back in many times.
And you're gonna have to do it again. You're gonna have to, or you're gonna have to have
Right.
kind of eye-opening experience to have you reflect on that again. But yeah, like really processing. It's not even just processing the experiences, but it's like integrating the information.
Integrating. Thank you, God.
Because
That's gonna
like
bother me all day.
mushrooms, particularly, always tell me we're ruining the earth. We're killing. We're gonna kill the human species. You know, stop
Mm,
using plastic. Stop using resources. Stop don't ever drive when you don't need to, you know, like that's what mushrooms always says to me. And afterwards, I'm like changed. I'm like, every time I just stop using, I just, I'm more, I start acting more sustainably and it lasts. And it's up to my decisions and behavior to sustain that behavior. But every time I do it, it's just a reset.
yeah.
And I've just been becoming more and more and more conscious of those things with direct help from the information that it's provided. Like just being at my house, I'm there every day. But one time I was on mushrooms, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just so beautiful on Earth. I can't believe that we just treat it so much like shit. Just the landfills that we create are just wastelessness, and that's the kind of perspective that it wants to give you, at least for me.
Yeah, but then, like, a few moments later, you're talking about it in past tense, Like, it's never it's
And then
really
you got
hard
to
to stick with it.
act. Yeah, like I the last mushroom trip I had, it was so ruthless and how it was being like, it was speaking directly to me. It's like, you have too much waste. You use too many resources. You use too much plastic. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop. So I've really tried to stop using plastic. Since then, it's very hard, but like really, really trying to cut down on that usage in every way possible. And uh, it's I mean, it's a smart. It has some knowledge. That mushroom, it's probably the whole Earth. It's just the Earth speaking to us, because
Mhm.
it's the largest organism on Earth.
Yeah,
So it's the biggest organ of Earth that's kind of like speaking to us. It's the biggest living organism on Earth.
right.
It's just
Biggest
trying to tell
network.
us. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and I think that it's, like, the teaching, I think, is very in the moment, like we keep going back, there's something there that we long for and that we want, because I think the moment that we take it, we kind of completely go somewhere else in a sense, and then we're back here, and then you're saying, holy shit, I'm over here, I'm not there, I'm not over there. So I think Thich Nhat Hanh actually says to no, actually, I think it's Trumpa Rumpa Rinpoche. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible with names. But she says to disown any type of psychedelic visuals or anything that you get when you're meditating, because the moment you notice those psychedelic visuals and these enlightened thoughts and everything, you catch them, you're not in them anymore. Now you're in the judgment place, judging those thoughts, being like, "Holy shit, those thoughts were enlightenment," instead of, "Okay, those were enlightenment thoughts. Let's go back to the space where those, thoughts originated from."
yeah, you just want to experience them. That's it. Just experience them and let them pass like a river, like a leaf on the river.
Mhm.
Um,
Like a
I
shower.
Yeah, it's hard for me to. I'm a terrible person to say this because I'm always analyzing the thoughts.
Yeah,
It's
we
hard
all
for me
are.
to turn it off, to turn off
To
but
catch
lately,
yourself thinking.
but it's good practice with others too. Like you hear other people's ideas and you just really listen and accept them and try to understand something that's outside of what you understand. and
Right.
and that's kind of like with yourself is like,
Yeah.
you're just kind of just trying to, yeah,
Mhm.
but but those profound things that we experience, they'll come back to us. There will be a time to think about them, but when we're experiencing them, yeah, you just want to experience and take it all in, just like just ride the center, that center line, and it kind of it seems to have created all of the ancient architecture, the Indian temples and the temples of India and of Mesopotamia and all those places. These people would go inside. They would have psychedelic visions of symmetrical palaces and then actually be able to create the geometry and plans to actually make them real places. Um, but they saw them in those same meditative states. They
Yeah,
had these epiphanies where they would
exact
see
same.
these beautiful things, and then afterwards they would make it so. But in the moment, they would just accept and use as much
Wow.
restraint as possible and just experience it. Yeah, absolutely. And that it's a good way to just to exist too, because when
I
somebody's
think so,
telling you
yep.
problems, you don't want to just try to come up with solutions for them. You just want to be there for them, you know?
Yeah, everything in
Just
your
be.
life can be essentially used to prepare you for that moment that we all know is coming for us.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all, and so yeah, so there might be a really intense moment, when we're disembodied or whatever, incorporeal, but we want to accept it and accept it and trust and not have any judgmental thoughts about ourselves or about what what we're seeing. And yeah, but I think it's just part of our nature to
Hmm.
analyze, and everybody has judgmental thoughts and everything. But
Yeah.
I think it's just like not letting them stop you from what you're doing. Don't let. I'm a delusionally optimistic person. I don't let any of my analysis stop me. Like I continue forth. Even if it seems impossible, I don't even know how I'm gonna get to the next stage of what I'm doing. I just keep doing it, and it works itself out. Um, yeah, it's just like
Hmm.
yeah, it's there's an and with music too, less analytical, more feeling, more listening. Just listening and just seeing what happens and seeing because you just play one chord, you like kind of hear where it wants to go by itself. You just like want to follow that, follow that intuition. But
100%.
that
And I think as well, like when we die, I think that is exactly the mindset to have. I think because I don't think this is going to stop. I think it's just kind of like a transition. Death is just a transition to another state. It can be like you going outside or you going inside. But if you just like, yeah, if you like really attach yourself to it and like stop yourself from the whole thing, it gets very like negative, and that's I think that's what hell is.
yeah, it's an attachment to matter. Yeah, it's being stuck. It's a
Hmm.
literal attachment to matter because you could have like a haunted bookcase for like 30 years because this person does not want to leave it,
Yeah.
They're attached to this matter. So yeah, you want to let go of the
Hmm.
I mean, you form with life's about forming those incredible deep resonances and connections with people. But then conversely and or hypocritically at the end, you have to learn how to let it all go as well. That you'll find each other again.
Right.
You'll always be with each other again. And and like it's just accepting, yeah, letting go of the body and everything, and the trust that there's a forward, that the past is doesn't exist, the future doesn't exist either, but
Yeah.
the future is now.
Yeah.
So
And I
like
think
what we know, you
the
know?
same can be said about hell and heaven. I think that they are all just about, here and whether you're able to get into the mindset. And as soon as you get into the mindset, you give it all up, you surrender. Suddenly, holy shit. Like I'm in heaven now. Like everything that I wanted kind of comes to you whenever you let it go, you
Yeah,
know?
definitely, and
It's so funny.
yeah, and creating it actively yourself. Like if somebody's complaining that they don't have local produce, then get some garden planters and like make your own garden.
Mhm.
That's like the best, like
Exactly.
just like yeah, like you just sometimes
Right.
you have to make it so yourself, but
Right. They say
also
you're go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
but also like letting everything and everyone exist as they are and who they are, not trying to change everything, but
Right.
you can change yourself, you can change with the things that you do. But I think that as long as that's the focus, you can make anything happen, you can make anything possible with that. I never use I try to just stay in that mindset, that just to keep myself activated, just to keep I'm actually getting some garden planters right now to make my first garden, which has been a life goal.
Oh,
So I'm starting
nice.
to build them right now. So that's just that's what that's just the direction that we all want to move to. That's what I want to move towards. Just trying to do everything you can that is the right direction for yourself and for the planet, for others. And every tiny little act of altruism and goodness is makes huge ripples.
It does.
Like it could transform somebody's entire day, and then they want to act more like that in the future because it made them feel so good. It just has these profound ripple effects. Um, but people that are really interested in hell, or they're in a hellish state of mind, that could be their heaven too. It's whatever
Ooh. Wow.
whoever's angels and demons or whatever side you're on.
Yeah.
And but the true hell though is being locked within the material, like what we were saying, like not being able to let go of your thoughts and your body and and possessions. I think possessions are the main thing. Is that like you need to be able to let go of your
I think so
possessions.
too.
It seems that spirits seem to possess their possessions. So you know, so if you just let it go, the intangible, the space is what's there. Matter's 0.00001% of what's there. So our space is all of what's there, and there's so many beautiful geometries and its division and configuration and everything, and it's how matter shares information is through space. Um, so that's the place that we go, and there doesn't have to be matter there, but it's filled with incredible topographies and fractal waveforms and rainbow electromagnetic spectrums of possibilities. It's like very psychedelic. That's just space,
Yeah.
nothingness.
You
It's
know,
not nothing. It's filled with information. It's filled with fluctuations. There
potential
is
energy.
Exactly. There's no such thing as nothing or empty space. Einstein said the concept of empty space has no meaning because even the most empty of empty space we
Wow.
can find is vibrating and fluctuating violently. Some of the like in the inside of a proton is filled with incredible fluctuations. There's no such thing as empty space. So I trust Einstein in that. I fully agree with that. Space is filled, with most things out there. But and what is the only thing that's omnipresent that connects all things? The only thing that is
Right.
everywhere, it connects all things, is space. So it's the thing that shares, that connects everything. So there's something to know. There's some things to understand about space that we simply have not even touched upon as the human race yet.
I'm trying to figure out a way to ask the question. What would you like what would you do if when we died, like it was nothing, nothing happened. Like it was just, like black, like nothing happened, like, and I think that's kind of what you're saying. Like maybe that's what's already happening. Maybe we're already dead and there's this nothingness right here.
Yeah, but nothingness is a beautiful thing because nothing has objects. Nothingness is just another dimension. Because like this third dimension that we're in, we could say there's nothingness in
Wow.
this, but there's not. But nothingness is a higher dimensional space that has entities, objects, couches,
Whoa.
lights. It's filled with
Right.
stuff, dude. Nothingness is like way more jam packed than
Right.
physical space,
Like
than
when
physical matter.
like when you
Um,
close your eyes, you don't see nothing. You see things. You see fucking, it's
yes,
infinite. It's literally infinite. You close your eyes and you just start seeing like an infinite amount of things.
yeah. There is no nothing. I've always said this to everybody,
Yeah, it's
um,
beautiful.
and we can feel like there is a lot in our life. We can feel the emptiness. We can feel the nothingness. In Taoism, talks about nothingness a lot,
Mhm.
but when you experience nothingness, things happen, and it's filled with information. I've had direct experiences of this, but maybe it's just your brain fire. I look at how things are, how particles vibrate, and a lot of the math and everything. It all lines up to say that there is no empty space. It's all within physics and math. That the equations kind of pop that idea out. It's something that they put under the rug because they don't understand it. But because there's infinite energy, actually, infinite potential in every little point in space. There's no nothing. There's infinite energy to be harnessed from every little proton, every subatomic particle. But we just don't have the technology, or we can't put a meter on infinity.
Mhm.
Like Edison can't put a
Exactly.
meter on infinity like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's still there, and I think that we have the chance to unlock that endless. resource. We have that chance. It is possible. I know that. I don't know within our lifetime. I don't know if it will happen ever for the humans, but I think it will because it's happened for all the other advanced entities out in the universe. They're able to unlock in the infinite resource of of like singularities, essentially, of like black holes. But the quantum world acts like black holes, where they when a black hole creates an infinite density, it's a lot of power that it creates, and particles are also folding into themselves like a black hole in the center, and so it's creating a lot of power, a lot of energy, and you could power the whole earth off of one subatomic particle, if we had the technology. And I know that it's possible, and we could get fossil fuels and all of this. It's another thing that I wish I could devote my whole life towards, and I will. A part of my future, I'm definitely going to devote my life towards the technology of the vacuum, of
Whoa.
trying to understand the vacuum potential of how to use the vacuum of space for energy.
Wow.
Like this is something I've been extremely interested in for a very long time. A lot of people are. Um, a lot of theoretical physicists are really into this, but it's just another one of my goals to try to really unlock that, because you would have paradise on earth. Everybody would have welfare. Everybody would have the things in abundance that they need. I mean, it's obvious what would occur.
Yeah.
It would be very so. I think it's my dream to unlock that. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, someone told me that the decline of human happened whenever hunters and gatherers started saving their food. And like they used to like just do everything.
Yeah, once you had an excess, once you had
Right.
a stockpile,
Yeah.
that's when you had to get a tower to put it in,
Right.
and then you'd had
To protect
people
it.
to defend it. Then you have to have a military, and then you have to have a country, and then you have to have a government.
Right.
Once you
Someone to
have more
trade
than what
with.
you need, yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's what monks understand, is that you never need more than what you need,
Mm.
because then have to have these evil systems in place to defend it and protect it. That's
Mhm.
only for you, or for your country, or for your community, and not for the whole world. So
Wow.
um yeah, like we're so fifths. It's crazy. Yeah. We're so on the same page.
For real, man. We've been
It's
going for like 4 hours. I have no idea.
dude, we've been going for a long, I have no idea. There's no clock.
For
I don't
real.
I don't see a clock, but it's been really amazing, dude. Like I hope you
Yeah,
post this
man.
whole thing. Like
I
there's nothing
will.
you need to edit.
I'm not gonna touch
Just
it.
post the whole thing.
I will. I will,
Like,
brother. Hell yeah, man. Well,
yeah.
dude, thank you so much, man. I will, as soon as I get a chance, I'm gonna connect you with Dennis, bro, and send you some videos, dude. And hopefully we can do this again, man. Sometime or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please send me the video when it's done, and I'll blast it and I'll post it. And I love doing
Oh
these. I want to do
yeah.
more.
Dude, yeah,
Yeah, man. I'm
dude, it
so
was so much fun. Thank
Thanks
you,
so
man.
much,
For
dude. That
real.
was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
man.
Let's talk soon, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. Thank you. Hare
Of
Krishna, my
course.
friend.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Where can people find you if people want to reach out?
Oh, you can reach out on Instagram, Vinyl Williams. Instagram, you send me an email at manage@lionelwilliams.com. Um, you can find the musical astrology app on the App Store, on
Yes.
the Apple App Store. And I got hacked out of my Facebook a year ago by a Vietnamese space surgery clinic. So, but but besides that, you can, yeah, message me on Instagram, or yeah, Spotify, Bono Williams,
Yeah.
Apple Music title maybe, but I still use Spotify because it's how I find music. So
It's so good for that. It's so
I
fucking
like
good.
I like finding new shit. I like to
Discovery
see.
Weekly.
Yeah.
I follow your profile and you got that Heavens playlist. You got those great playlists, dude. And I have some songs like that I have liked in my playlist, so I already know they're good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I love doing those playlists. I love
Me too.
just
Me
making
too.
as many playlists as possible. Like I think I have like
Yeah.
30 or 40 playlists on there that are public, so
That's
it's
the
a lot.
coolest thing. Like whenever you see an artist playlist, dude, it's like their way of giving to the world something a
Yeah,
little extra.
definitely. Yeah, I love doing that. It's like it's very. I'm always listening to new stuff and finding new stuff and discovering new stuff, and then I just put it on a new playlist and I just release it whenever I have enough songs that make sense.
Wow,
Um, and yeah, like I love it. I love it's a way
I
for me to
love it
organize
too.
my own brain too, because I don't sometimes I forget what I even like or what I've discovered. So
Right,
playlists are the best way for me to go back and just rediscover what I've already discovered.
right, or like almost like a wizard making a potion or a witch making a potion that you can like put on yourself whenever you want to have that emotion or something. Those
Yeah,
certain feels.
yeah, that's very true.
You're
Yeah,
like
that's
you're an
a good way
alchemist.
of yeah,
You're
that's
in your
awesome.
laboratory, Spotify laboratory.
Come on, I gotta see that someday. But yeah, dude, this has been definitely the best podcast I've ever done. So can't
Dude,
thank you enough.
same here, brother. Dude, and if you want, dude, you can check out the Dennis Ham podcast I did too, bro. It's we talk about similar stuff too, man. It's pretty sick.
I'd love to. Yeah, once is it out? I'll definitely
Yeah,
check it out.
it's
Oh,
on
sweet,
Spotify and shit, bro.
beautiful, awesome, man. I'll
Yeah.
check it out.
Dude, well, dude, I'll let you go. Have a good night. I don't even know what time zone you're in, so I really don't know what time it
It's
is for
way
you.
late for you. You're in Central Time. It's probably like
Oh,
midnight for you.
dude, thank
But
God. I was like, dude. But
but
yeah,
yeah,
man. Well, thank you, bro.
yeah,
Thank
dude.
you
Thank you
for
so
real.
much.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Speak soon, man.
Yeah, for sure. We'll stay in touch. Have a good night.
Thanks, man. You too.
See you. Hare Krishna. Bye-bye.